Be cool, be kind, be classy. The cupcakes are sweet and sexy. Have fun, enjoy the journey. Or just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. And not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade, sipping motions of lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. There's a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Stack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Machegas. Ridiculous that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proset, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcakes are sweet and sassy. And not just a YouTube show. When you know. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
I made it. I made it. I literally just walked in the door from my travels, from my journey, from my trek, my quest, my walkabout, if you will. Like literally just walked in the door. I had all of my equipment with me because I didn't know if I was going to be able to go live where I was and how long I was going to be staying. And I'm home and I literally walked in the door, had to set everything up. And I wanted to sorry, I'm late because being late is my pet peeve. One of my pet peeves. One of a couple. What a weekend. What a weekend it has been. What'd you guys do this weekend? What'd you guys do? Have you guys been on the social media? Have you seen what went on last night? A lot of people are mad about it. A lot of people are really mad about it. It's funny. It's really funny. The hatred and the vitriol that comes from people who, I guess, don't understand what community is, what it is to support someone, what it is to truly believe in something that brings people together. It's hysterical. It's hysterical. They are hating us. They are hating us so much. They hate to see people join together for justice, for a cause, for all right, if you don't know, I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. But last night I attended, along with many other people that you know, a very private, super secret friends and family fundraiser for Karen Reed. And it was like I feel like I have to process it, I think, some more in my head before I can even really tell you guys what this experience was like. 250 people kept a secret. This was something that was, for security reasons, obviously, had to be kept very secret, very private. It was kind of, and I said to Kelly Reed, who organized this whole thing, Kelly, I don't know if you're here, but girl, what an amazing event you put on for your cousin. Like, what an amazing event. When people come together, like, for justice, it's just, I don't know, it just fills you up inside. Like you're doing something instead of shouting into a closet. Like I feel like I'm doing all the time in my own studio. I'm talking to you guys, but it's like, I can talk and talk and talk and just sit here and spew truth and facts and court documents and my observations from the courtroom. But there is nothing like being in a room with 250 other people who don't know each other, who have all joined together for a common goal. And it was secret. No, I was at Dave Matthews on Friday night. I was at Dave Matthews on Friday night. The fundraiser was last night. I did also have tickets for last night, floor seats to Dave Matthews, which I happily gave up to go and support Karen Reed and her family. And boy, am I glad I did, because the YouTube creators that showed up, the Las Vegas cops flew in from Las Vegas. I drove from New York, so I took a ferry and planes, trains, and automobiles. It felt like a ferry ride last night, and the ferry is never late. The ferry is never, ever, in my entire life, I have missed the ferry so many times because it is on time. Last night, the ferry was late, so I was a little bit late getting there, but what an incredible bunch of people. And it was, private for Karen Reed's friends and family only. They paid to be there. There were raffles. There was a 50-50. There was so much money donated. And this is, this is not a cheap quest. As you know, if you read the Vanity Fair article, we read it together. She's over $5 million in debt to her attorneys. She gave a beautiful speech. I didn't want to videotape any. I didn't really want to tape anything. I have stuff. I'll get it together for you guys if you guys are interested. But I wanted to kind of be in the moment. And nobody streamed live. Nobody posted anything. It was like Soho House. I mean, people had their phones out, and a lot of people took pictures, and a lot of people wanted pictures with the creators and the family, and everyone happily did it. But for a lot of us, it was the first time we had ever met each other. The Las Vegas cops came in from Las Vegas. That was incredible. All three of them. Brian, Gonzo, and Steve, their producer. Brian from LTL, Mazza Media, Young Jerks, Mike Crawford from Young Jerks, Tom CPU, Will flew in from wherever the hell he lives in Tennessee or something. Turtle Boy was there with Meredith. It was so nice to meet them. Some of the nicest people, the Roccos, Nick and Jenna Rocco, who have done huge fundraising pushes for Karen Reed. And Nick Rocco has appeared on Court TV more times than I can even count, more times than many actual lawyers. Mr. and Mrs. Reed, Karen Reed, Nathan Reed, Mark Betterow was there. Who am I forgetting? You guys have seen the pictures. I got to spend a little more time. I had met Scott McGinnis before. He's usually in the chat here. I don't know if he's here tonight. Scott McGinnis, Mizzy, Nurse Kim. It was so nice to meet Nurse Kim. I love her. Love her, love her. She's my new best friend. And Auntie Deb was there. And Auntie Deb, they had a comedian who did a set. And then Auntie Deb came on and did almost like a roast. Had the Judge Canoe, the wig, the thing, the whole thing. I mean, it's hard for me to even put into words. I don't know if Olivia Nile was there. If she was undercover and I did not meet her. And so I'm not sure if she was there. Microdots, Richie from Microdots was there. That was amazing. Oh, happy birthday, Anne. Happy birthday. I'm happy to be your present. Richie from Microdots was there. I met the guy who made the Bang Bang video and his wife. We had a long conversation. Let me shout him out. Hang on. Because then he said, would you like me to send you? Because I don't have a copy of the Bang Bang song. And I told him how I was in court. His name is Varys, Varis. I said, I was in court the day that Jackson heard your song for the first time, the Bang Bang song. And he was like, what was his reaction? And I said, we were at lunch in the church or the rectory or wherever it is that they had for the lunch place. And somebody brought it in. I think maybe it was Kelly. And she had it on her phone. She said, Alan, listen to this. Somebody made this for you. And he loved it. He could not get enough of it. He's like, play it again. I love this. And so Varys, who is the creator of that Bang Bang song, was so happy to hear that. The people that I spoke to who were there, so many people, wanted to come and talk and thank me. I'm like, you're thanking me? No, thank you. Thank you. You guys are what makes this a movement. You guys are the ones supporting. It wouldn't be what it is without you. I just sit here and give you my opinion and tell you what I think the truth is. Yep, Auntie Deb is amazing. It is, people were thanking us for taking such an interest in what's going on in Massachusetts and for speaking out, because so many people are afraid to speak out. Bill Reed, Karen's dad, gave a beautiful speech. Recognized everyone from the YouTube community that was there, and Mark and I, and had us, stand up. It was humbling, and they were so gracious. I had a couple of private conversations with Karen, which was great to do in this sort of an environment, because when I talked to her the day that I was in the courtroom before court, it's a much different vibe. You're walking into a trial situation. You can't really talk freely. Tom was there. I keep breaking up. Am I breaking up? It may just be my voice that's breaking up. Mods, tell me, I'll unplug and plug my mic back in. Yannetti was not there. Alan Jackson was not there, but he did FaceTime in. So I FaceTimed with him for a little bit. Not breaking up. Okay. If you are hearing me break up on your end, just refresh your stream. I have like no voice left, so that's what it could be. It was quite a night. There was a lot of love in that room, a lot of community. It was interesting to meet all of these people who just came together like through this case, like you don't feel like you're making a difference a lot of times. You could have the greatest career in the world, be really successful, make lots of money, and something like this was just so, I don't know, it makes you feel like you're making a difference, like you're on the right side of history. There's like, it's going to happen. And Karen gave a beautiful, heartwarming speech, thanking everyone. And she's like, I'm not quitting. I'm not quitting. I am very lucky, she said. Hold on. She said, I am very lucky that thanks to all of you in this room, and all of them were family and friends. And this was held, like a couple of hours away from Canton for a reason, because that's where many of the friends and family are. And I am so lucky to have all of you supporting me, because I am lucky enough. She's like, this happens every day to other people. Every day, other people in Massachusetts are being wrongfully prosecuted for things they didn't do. And I'm lucky enough to have the money and the support and the help from my family and all of you and friends to be able to fight this fight. And she's like, I'm not quitting. We ain't got no quit. So, yeah, the tribe thing is real. It takes a village. I see ducks. It takes a village. I met some amazing people. This woman named Mimi, I don't know. Shout out to Mimi. She's amazing. Hunta, like this really amazing girl named Hunta, who was a correction officer before she started having children. It was great. It was great. And it was like, for us to be able to do something to help, I don't even know how to describe it. I'll gather my thoughts, and Nurse Kim was there. We had an amazing time. Love her so much. And so yeah, I think, once I'm able to digest this a little bit. Yep, Mizzy was there. Yep, I think I said Mizzy, right? Yeah, it was something. It was something. It was something. We all donated merch, and they had baskets, and they did a raffles, and they did a 50-50. And the girl who won the 50-50 donated the money back to the defense fund. And I don't know how much money they raised, but I'm sure it was a lot. These people were givers. They were givers. And they were just so, just so thankful to us, and it's like, it's about them. It's not about us. It was humbling. It was humbling. And it was crazy. Yeah, we're gonna thank you, Dog Mom, for becoming a member. And What the Duck. Oh, thank you so much for the compliment. I appreciate you. Tazo, you should do a show with Las Vegas guys. It's already in the works. We're planning it. They were good people. And then it so happened that we were all in the same hotel. So I saw them this morning before they went out. They did a great show. If you haven't seen it, with Brian LTL this morning, it was a great show. I was kind of watching it like on and off, and on my drive. Thank you, On Top, for your super sticker. On my drive home, and then across the ferry home, which very rough seas tonight, by the way. I was like, I never get seasick on the ferry, and it was pitchy. I mean, the boat was rocking. There's a lot of wind. So I got a chance to listen to that. I got a chance to listen to Mike from Young Jerks do a show earlier today about it. Jen said, I was so bored last night. Ended up bed by 9:30. I'm so happy y'all got together. Brought a tear to my eyes seeing the pictures. Yeah. It was like I'm kind of like speechless about it. Like I have to really digest this a little bit more. But yeah, the Las Vegas cops are amazing. Yeah, I did. I sailed out of New London on the way home because it was pretty close. And I sailed into Bridgeport on the way there, which that's kind of screwed me up because that ferry was like 40 minutes late. So, you never know how it's going to be. And really, the reason I went back into Orient was because I was hoping that Briarmere Farms would be open on my way home. I was hoping they would stay open late for, if you know, because it's the last Sunday before Thanksgiving, because I wanted some pies for Thanksgiving because I'm hosting. And they closed at 5 today. I'm like, come on, man. Come on, man. And I was surprised. I was surprised that it didn't leak. Hi, the girl with animals. Some people posted them on Instagram. Some people posted pictures on Twitter. Some people posted pictures on YouTube. So I think they're out there. They are out there. You can find them. I have some. I'll show them tomorrow. What I want to do today is I want to focus on Brian Camp, because Brian Camp, there's 1,111 people in the chat. That is so weird. This is the third stream in a row that I've noticed 1,111 people in the chat. Please make a wish right now. Everyone make a wish. Make a wish. Make a wish that justice comes, that justice comes swiftly, and that justice is coming. Yeah, the massholes all posted them on X. They're so mad. They're so mad. And somebody said, listen, if 250 people could keep a secret, how hard is it for 20 people to keep a secret? Makes you think. And they're so mad. They're so mad. They think we're raising money for a murderer. And to them, I say this. To them, I say, those of you anti-Karen Reads who think you're, justice for John O'Keefe, and Masshole has made it quite clear that she has become very, very close friends with Jennifer McCabe and Brian Albert. And in fact, that the reason she started working for them or doing whatever she's doing is because they reached out to her personally, and she's become very close with them. And to them, I say, when, not if, but when your friends, the McCabes and the Alberts, are sued as third parties in the lawsuit that the O'Keefes brought against Karen Read and the Waterfall and C.F. McCarthy's, when they are brought in as third-party defendants, look it up, it's really a thing. When they are sued and they do not have insurance to cover their losses and they need defense attorneys, how much money are you going to fundraise for their defenses? How much money are you guys going to cobble together for them in your fight for justice for the McCabes and the Alberts? And which side are you on at that point? Because you'll have to pick a side, right? Because the O'Keefes are the plaintiffs in that case. And when the McCabes and the Alberts are going to be third-party defendants in the civil suit, how much money are you going to raise for their defense funds? Are you going to be out there? Are you going to be out there fundraising? I don't think so. I don't think so. So, before you drag everyone else for coming together for a common good and a common cause, ask yourselves that question. And I guess we'll see the answer to that when it happens. We'll see. So good luck to you all. I know you're watching. Smash the like button, or you know what? Smash the dislike button. It doesn't matter. It's engagement. Thanks for the view. And just go back to your hatred and your vitriol, because that is what you do best. That's what you do best. Let's do it. Brian Camp. Closing arguments are tomorrow in Hampshire County. I don't know if any of you are able to go. The case is being shadow banned. The case is being sort of hidden. Oh, Jen Altman was there. I met Jen Altman. Hey, Jen. I knew I was going to forget people, so I didn't really want to start naming names, but it was really nice to meet you. Everybody was so kind and generous. I mean, it was nice, wasn't it, Jen? It was really nice. For those of you who don't know, here's a quick rundown on the Brian Camp case. Brian Camp, 23 years old when this happened, lives in Chesterfield, Massachusetts, which is in Hampshire County, which my understanding is near Amherst, that area. I think he grew up in Southampton. Brian Camp, 23 years old, living with his girlfriend, Brooke. They have 2 children together, 5 and 2-year-old daughters. Sleeping in their house. Brian's sleeping naked. Brooke is sleeping next to him. He wakes up to Brooke screaming. He wakes up, he sits up, he sees a huge figure in his doorway of his bedroom. Next thing he knows, this man is on top of him, choking him and slamming his head against the bedroom wall, trying to kill him and screaming, "I'm going to kill you." Brooke grabs a bottle or something, smashes it over the guy's head. Brian has no idea who this guy is. When Brooke smashes the bottle over the guy's head, somehow Brian's able to get out from under him and they run downstairs. And Brian tries to like get behind him and do, coincidentally enough, because we watched more of the Daniel Penny trial the other day together, a rear naked chokehold, which first time I've ever heard this expression, and it's twice in 2 trials within the span of 3 days. Rear naked chokehold. But because Brian is 5'9" and 150 pounds, and the perpetrator is like 6'2" and 200 and something pounds, he winds up like being carried around on the back of this guy who's trying to kill him and potentially his family. Somehow they get downstairs. There's a scuffle. They start, Brian grabs like this, like as Kathy, our new friend from Rumor, Gossip, and Innuendo said, a rickety musket. And they're wrestling over this rickety musket and it breaks in half. And now they each have half of it. And now this perpetrator is like smashing Brian over the head with this rickety musket. And then Brian's able to somehow get a hold of his other gun, a Sig Sauer, and he shoots him like through the side. And he goes down, the perpetrator, and Brooke is outside on the phone with 911 for 20 minutes. I have never heard a 20-minute 911 call in the history of covering trials and listening to trials and watching trials because they live so far away. I think it might have been a blizzard. This was December of 2022. I believe it was December 27th of 2022. Where did the musket come from? The musket was downstairs. He's a hunter. So he had like, all his guns were legal. And this was the house that he shared with Brooke. And their 2 little babies are sitting upstairs. Okay, you guys already watched the testimony. We're going to watch it today. We're going to watch it. So, no spoilers, please. So he's down. And Brian's still naked. Brian runs outside to see what's happening with Brooke. She's still on the phone with 911. She's like, they say they're coming. They say they're coming, but I don't know. Brian goes back into the house. You can hear 1 gunshot allegedly on the 911 call. We listened to it the other day. I couldn't really hear the gunshot. And then the prosecutor says 8 minutes later, after he went back in the house, there's another gunshot. And that's when he shot the perp in the head. Please, no spoilers, because this is going to be a cold watch of the testimony with you. I haven't had a chance to watch it all. Prosecution is saying, well, the first shot was good. The first shot's fine. That's self-defense, castle doctrine. You're allowed to protect your family. It's the second shot that we're prosecuting you for. So Brian Camp, 23 years old, now 24, is on trial for manslaughter in Hampshire County. He's looking at 20 years if he's convicted. I have no idea what the jury's going to do. Closing arguments are tomorrow. This case could go to the jury tomorrow. There could be a verdict tomorrow afternoon. So the 911 call was horrific. She's hysterical. You can't understand what she's saying. And the 911 operator is like, do you know who this guy is that broke into your house? And she's like, yes, it's Johnathan Letendre. It's Johnathan Letendre. He's my boss at work. Well, turns out Brooke had like a relationship with Johnathan like a year prior for a short time. But Brian didn't know about it. Brian didn't know about this guy. He didn't know this guy. So when this guy breaks into the house, Brian doesn't know who he is, but Brooke does know who he is. And apparently he's trying to kill the whole family. So we got to free Brian Camp. I saw some chatters go by that said they were going to go to the courthouse tomorrow. I was going to stay and go to court tomorrow, but I just couldn't make it happen. My kids are home for Thanksgiving. It's a short week. I don't know how long. If you guys can go, please go. Please go. Because for some reason, the Massachusetts news does not want you guys knowing about this case. There are people that live near where this is happening that don't even know that this case is going on. There are people in this chat and in my comments from the other streams I've did on this who live in town, and they say, I know the players in this case. This is outrageous. We can't believe this is happening. And yet it is. Here we are talking about it. So there's that. I don't know if they are going to acquit him. I just don't know. After all the trials that we've watched together lately, I don't know. Ever. You never know what a jury's going to do. But I think in a case like this, you really never know what a jury's going to do. Why is this being shadow banned? Massachusetts is not a real, all of his guns were legal, but it's not a real like gun tote and open carry, like gun friendly state from what I hear. So you can tell me what you think. Yeah, look, BF lives about 45 minutes away. Never heard about it. That's right. It's in Hampshire Superior Court in Northampton. Court TV was covering like little bits and pieces of it. And when I first was looking for footage to play, there's apparently there's a camera in the courtroom, but they're not live streaming it. I don't know why. They had released some of the video that we watched on the last stream, like the body cam footage, the interrogation footage. Never speak to the police. You guys don't speak to law enforcement without an attorney, especially if you're innocent, especially if you've done nothing wrong. That is when you need an attorney the most. We watched him interrogated in what I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, was the Massachusetts State Police Northampton Barracks. He's still covered in blood. He's got his arm in a cast. Yep, they've got some of it behind a paywall on Court TV. Everyone needs to know about this case. Please share this stream out because everyone needs to know about it because it could be over by tomorrow. I don't know if they're going to live stream closings. You can let me know. Thank you, Adam Lally's resignation. And have you submitted your letter yet? Shadow ban because Massachusetts is already in so much judicial trouble. I don't know. Live near Worcester. Live near Worcester. I never heard of it. Jamie says my daughter walked in the room and said, "Is that Melanie?" Hi, Jamie's daughter. Thanks for watching. He was brought in for interrogation. Thank you, double M99. He was brought in for interrogation. He was read his Miranda rights, but he was not indicted until about 6 months later, and he's been out on bail. So at least there's that. He's been out on bail. When you see how young he is and his testimony, you are going to be shocked. The little bit of this that I watched, I will tell you, I've never seen a better witness for himself than this young man getting up on this stage. On the stage, it feels like a stage because there's curtains behind him that look like they're in a high school auditorium. He gets up on the stand, and he's now going to tell his story. We heard some of his story the other day when we saw the interrogation video. For those of you following Daniel Penny with me, the defense rested on Friday. Daniel Penny did not testify. Closing arguments are not going to be until December 2nd. So there's a 10-day break in that trial, which I was kind of like, why? Why are they doing that? And then it was pointed out to me that it's Thanksgiving week. I guess they don't want the jury to have to deliberate over Thanksgiving or have a break. And then, it could be a whole thing. But so we got 10 days hanging on Daniel Penny. We can still get a little bit involved in that. But let's take a look at Brian's testimony together. And dissect it. The little bit of it that they're apparently showing on Court TV. This is direct examination. This happened on Friday. If you don't know about this, you need to know about this because it's almost over. Here we
go. Moving forward to...
Hang on. Are they going to... Really? Are they going to... Maybe they didn't show the very beginning of it. Let me just see if I can find a more extensive version on their website. Like I'm saying, like I'm telling you, they're not. Why are they not? You know, and then they have these crazy names on Court TV for it. Like they're calling it the jealous ex shot dead trial. How about like the dude needed killing trial? How about that? How about the dude needed killing because he broke into my house and tried to kill my wife and I guess they're not married. I'm gonna say wife for purposes of ease. My wife and 2 daughters, and I'm protecting my family. How about that? Whatever. Let's just get to whatever they're gonna allow us to see because they don't want us to see it, I guess. Here we go. Thanks, Mozzie.
Moving forward to December 26th, following day. You've heard, strike that. Could you tell us what you remember about the day in as much detail or as little detail as you want, starting with what you did the day after Christmas on 2022?
I remember going to Hadley, to Harbor Freight and Home Depot to buy some things that I got gift cards, or buy some things at those stores where I got gift cards for.
It was one of them a green toolbox?
Yes.
Okay. We've seen that in one of these pictures, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And did you go there with somebody?
Yes, I went there with my friend Matt Kelsey.
And so you went to Harbor Freight and Home Depot, is that right?
Yes.
All right. What else did you do that day?
I got back to the house around noontime. Me and Brooke's father had planned on going hunting. I went where we talked about going hunting. He wasn't there, and I went back to the house. It was mid-afternoon. It's not a good time for hunting, so I hung around the house for a while, an hour or two, and then went hunting essentially in the backyard of the house because they own a decent amount of woods.
So you went out behind 239 South Street?
Correct.
Okay. By yourself?
Yes.
Okay. At some point you came home, I'm assuming?
Yes, around dark.
What happened next?
I went inside, took my hunting stuff off. Brooke was making dinner. We fed the girls. We ate, gave the girls a bath, put them to bed. We cleaned up the dinner mess and the rest of the house, and then we went to bed.
Okay.
Look at them. 23 years old. I don't know how old Brooke is. 23 years old. They're raising 2 girls under 5. Responsible, making dinner. We're cleaning the house. We're doing all the things. We're doing all the stuff. Like, he seems to me to be like a nice, responsible boy. I can call him a boy because, he could be my son. It's horrifying what they're doing to him. It's horrible. Yes, he does. He reminds me of Andrew McCarthy, right? Andrew McCarthy. From, 16 Candles and St. Elmo's Fire and all those, who was the guy who made all those movies?
Do you have a memory of what time or no? That you went to bed?
Roughly around 9 to 10 o'clock.
Is that kind of the usual time?
Yes.
And I know we've had testimony about a lot of this stuff, but can you describe for the jury the layout of the house on your way upstairs?
As you go up the stairs, you see the bathroom door, and
What do you mean? Where is that located?
straight ahead when you're walking up the stairs.
Okay.
And the width of the bathroom door is the distance between my bedroom and Brooke's bedroom on the left and the girls' bedroom on the right.
Okay. Had you, prior to this date, had you recently switched rooms with the girls?
We did.
Wow.
So they had been in where you were on December 26th, December 27th previously?
Okay, that's really scary because if this guy, her boss from Dunkin' Donuts, Johnathan Letendre, bursted into their bedroom, that used to be the girls' bedroom. And that means to me that this man was going to do something to those girls because that's the bedroom that he went for. That is frightening. And I'm going to point out to you, because we learned this during the last stream, Johnathan Letendre went to this house with handcuffs in his pocket and a decorative knife in his jacket. Guess when Massachusetts State Police found the handcuffs? During the autopsy. Medical examiner found the handcuffs in his pocket during the autopsy. And guess when Massachusetts State Police found out that he had the decorative knife? Oh, it wasn't until days later when one of Brooke's friends went to the house with Brooke's dad to pick up some things for the kids because obviously Brooke and Brian are too, terrorized to go back to that house. When Brooke's friend found a jacket on the couch that happened to belong to this guy, Johnathan Letendre, and picked it up, and the knife fell out of the pocket and brought it out to Brooke's dad, who called MSP and said, think you forgot something. So let's just hash that out a little bit, flesh it out a little bit. Johnathan Letendre breaks into the house, takes off his jacket, throws it over the back of the couch, goes up the stairs, and then bursts into the bedroom where the little girls used to sleep. Let that sink in.
Correct.
Okay. And so you went up to the left into your room, the girls were in the right in their room, is that correct?
Yes.
And did you fall asleep, do you remember?
Yes.
Okay. What did you wear when you went to sleep?
I was not wearing anything.
And I'm going to put on the screen what has been marked as exhibit number 32 and ask if you recognize that.
Yes.
What is it?
That is my bed in my bedroom.
Okay. And actually, Your Honor, do we have the pointer? Right to the side.
See this hole in the wall?
Would you like it?
If you're not looking at your screen, come look at your screen for a second. There's a hole in the wall. These walls are purple to the left of your screen. That is where Johnathan Letendre was smashing Brian Camp's head into the wall. Okay. Brian Camp also, the prosecution pointed out in their openings, which we also watched, was smart enough to take photographs of every room and a photograph of the perp laying on the floor. And somehow prosecution wants the jury to believe that he did that because, it was like some sort of trophy, taking a picture of, the body. How about maybe, just maybe, Brian Camp was really smart to do that.
You use it. Can you show the jury where it is that you went to sleep, the side of the bed that you were on?
I was on this side of the bed, close to the wall.
And I'm assuming that these glasses were not in the bed when you went to sleep?
No.
And was this bed pulled away from the wall when you went to sleep?
No.
And was this hole in the wall when you went to sleep?
No.
Okay. What's the next thing you remember happening after you fell asleep?
I remember Brooke waking me up slightly to tell me she hears a noise.
Did you wake up?
I did wake up.
And how did you respond?
I told her that that was weird because both of the cats were outside.
Okay. Did you hear anything?
I did not.
And is it fair to say that, again, looking at exhibit number 32, that this wall abuts the stairs? So the stair, when I say this, I'm pointing to the wall on the left with the hole in it, and the stairs would be on this side, right on the other side of that wall.
That is correct.
And did you fall back asleep, or what happened after that initial wake up?
I did close my eyes and start going back to sleep.
What was the next thing you remember happening?
I remember hearing Brooke scream, and I immediately opened my eyes and saw her jump in mid-jump, jumping back from what I assume was the doorway back further into the room.
Do you remember if the lights were on or off at that point?
The lights were off.
Was she holding her phone?
She did have her phone.
And what happened next?
Then I sat up in bed and scooched towards the end of the bed.
What do you mean by scooched?
I pulled my body towards where my feet were with my legs, and then I saw a human silhouette in the doorway.
The doorway of your bedroom?
Correct.
What happened?
Whoever that was immediately jumped on top of me, slammed me into the wall.
Did he say anything before he did that?
No.
Go ahead, I interrupted you.
He was on top of me in my own bed with his hands around my neck. He had slammed me into the wall, and my legs were crunched all the way up to my body, my knees touching my chest, and my heels touching my butt. And he was on top of me, prohibiting me from extending my legs.
He had his hands around your throat?
Yes.
And with the pointer, can you point to the approximate area you can remember this happening?
Approximately right here, in line with the glasses, the pillow, and the hole in the wall.
And where was your backside, seated or not, if you remember?
Roughly where the pillow is.
CPU mod 1, didn't I meet you last night? I think I did. I met a lot of people, but I think I met you. This is the defense attorney doing the direct examination of the defendant, Brian Camp. So the prosecution can't call him as a witness. The defense is calling him as a witness in their case in chief. And then we are going to watch the cross of the prosecution after this. Great question.
And at that point, did it seem like this guy was clothed?
Yes, it appeared as he was clothed.
Okay. Was he saying anything to you at that point?
No.
Can you tell the jury when he was on top of you in that situation, was he just squeezing your throat? Was he banging your head? What was he doing?
He was squeezing my throat.
Okay. And were you trying to get away?
Yes.
And were you able to?
No.
Okay. And by the way, how tall are you?
I'm 5'9".
And how much do you weigh?
Probably 150 pounds.
Okay.
So he's not really pocket size. 5'9" isn't really pocket size, but boy, is Kathy funny. If you guys didn't watch the last stream, please watch it, and please go like and subscribe and check out Kathy's channel. It's Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo, and she did a better opening than the prosecution.
And did you sense that this guy was bigger than you?
Yes.
Did you have any idea what was going on at that point?
At that point, all I knew was I was being choked.
What happened next?
I said to Brooke, do something. And then I heard a smash of what I assume is a glass object because of the noise it made when it broke.
And did you see where it landed?
No.
Okay. After that smash, was this person, did that smash stop this person from doing what he was doing to you?
No.
Did it cause something to happen to allow you to get out of there?
Yes.
What happened?
It caused him to stop applying as much pressure on my entire body, so I was able to get out from underneath of him.
Okay. And if you remember, if you don't, I understand, but do you remember how you got out of there? Like what route you took from the bed?
No.
Okay. What happened after you escaped from him that time?
I ran around to his back and grabbed him by his neck with my arm. And
What do you mean? If you can show the jury what you mean?
I had my right arm around his neck, and I had my left arm around my right arm.
Okay. And do you know that as a rear naked choke?
Yes.
Okay.
There it is again.
And-
Rear naked choke. Second time we're hearing that. We heard it in the Penny trial, and now we're hearing it again.
Is it fair to say you were trying to knock him out, basically?
Objection, you're leading. Sustained.
What were you trying to do by putting your arm around his neck?
I was trying to control him and essentially knock him out.
And at some point, you said that you were able to get behind him to do that, correct?
Yes.
So were you the entire time you were doing that, were your feet on the ground?
Once I was choking him, he did elevate me off the ground.
So you're on his back,
Yes.
your feet off the ground,
Yes.
and you're trying to choke him.
Yes.
Was it stopping him from, well, were you able to stop him from doing what he was doing?
No.
Were the lights on at that point, if you remember?
At this point, yes, the lights were on.
Okay, and I have loaded up exhibit number 34.
Yes, he does have a Drew Carey vibe. Somebody said the other day, Kate, that he's kind of like very Mad Men in the way that he dresses and the style that he dresses about. Yeah, I think the defense attorney totally has a Drew Carey vibe.
That's still part of your bedroom, correct?
Yes.
And we're looking at a linoleum.
If you're not looking at your screen, come look at your screen. You can see the blood all over the floor, blood in the footprints in the blood. This is terrifying. Can't imagine what he was going through.
Section of that floor, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can you estimate about where it was that you were on his back trying to choke him out?
In between, or right at the split of the linoleum floor and the carpet.
Do you not have the pointer anymore?
I do have the pointer.
Can you use the pointer?
Right here, roughly,
Okay.
where the
What
floor
was he,
splits.
what was he doing while you had your arm around his neck?
He was trying to grab and pull my arms off of his neck.
And was he able to do that?
No.
What's the next thing
Yeah.
that happened?
We both fell to the ground.
And do you remember what position it was that you, well, strike that. When you both fell to the ground, did you release your attempted choke?
No.
Okay. And were you on your back, on his front? How were you positioned on the floor?
It was my front to his back, and we were both on our sides.
Okay. And we see what appears appears to be some blood on the linoleum, correct?
Yes.
Had you noticed at that point that he was bleeding or no?
No.
Okay. And is that approximately where the two of you had landed?
Yes.
What was he doing while you were in that position and trying to do that to him?
He was reaching around, trying to grab anything.
So with his arms?
Yes.
And was he able, that you could see or sense, was he able to grab anything?
No.
What was the next thing that he tried to do? And by the way, this whole time, are you still hanging on to his neck
Yes.
with your arm? Fair to say that it's not
Sirens.
preventing him from moving around, correct?
Correct.
What's the next thing that he does physically?
He then begins to touch my face and search for my eyeballs with his hands.
Where is your head in relation to his?
Directly behind his head.
Okay. And so you can, how do you know that he's touching your face with his hands?
Correct.
Okay. And you say he's feeling around. What do you mean?
He's constantly moving the position of his hands.
On your face?
Correct.
Okay. And at some point, does he do something that causes you to release him?
Yes. He
What-
gets one or both fingers in between my eyeball and my eye socket.
And is that what caused you to let go of him?
Yes.
Why?
So I didn't lose my eyes.
So I didn't lose my eyes. The guy was trying to gouge my eyes out. Trying to gouge my eyes out. Take it back a second or two to that question. He got one or both fingers in between my eyeballs.
His hands.
On your face?
Correct.
Okay. And at some point, does he do something that causes you to release him?
Yes. He
What-
gets one or both fingers in between my eyeball and my eye socket.
And is that what caused you to let go of him?
Yes.
Why?
So I didn't lose my eyes.
What did you do?
I then ran downstairs.
And as far as you knew, where had you left him by the time you were at your door?
When I was at the door, he was in that area of the room.
And you're pointing to the screen, the linoleum area, correct?
Yes.
So you went downstairs.
Yes.
Fair to say that you passed the girls' room.
Yes.
Why did you not go into the girls' room or do anything with the girls at that point?
Because that they were safe in there.
Okay. And what was one of your purposes of going downstairs?
To get him away from my children.
Okay.
To get him away from my children. The room that he broke into first, which was now our room, but this guy, if he's ever been to the house, didn't know that because he dated Brooke over a year ago and he just couldn't let her go. Didn't want anybody else to have her. We read an interview that was published in a newspaper the other day of Letendre's parents, and that's what we got out of it. That's what they said in the interview.
Did that work?
Yes.
You still naked?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I went down the stairs.
And what did you do when you got there? And by the way, are the lights on downstairs at that point?
Yes, the lights are on downstairs.
Okay. Where did you go?
I went down the stairs and to the left of the stairs.
And at that point, could you sense that he was behind you or coming down the stairs or not yet?
Yes, I could hear him coming down the stairs.
Had he said anything yet?
Yes, upstairs, he did state that he was going to kill me.
He did state that he was going to kill me. Even if he didn't, I would submit to you that under the castle doctrine, he's got the right to defend his family if he feels like he's in imminent harm.
Yeah, one moment, Judge.
Okay.
Was that the first time he had said something to you?
Yes,
So when you get downstairs, I think you said you went to the left.
yes.
And what, if anything, did you see, well, other than everything down there, what was it that you did once you went to the left?
I saw my green toolbox with my muzzle loader laying on top of it.
Okay. And the often spoke of muzzle loader here today is it's a black powder well, it's not a firearm, it's a black powder gun, correct?
Yes,
And it's a rifle, right?
yes,
And there's actually a special season in Massachusetts for hunting with black powder, correct?
yes,
And that was the season, is that right?
yes, it was.
Okay.
To everything, there is a season. Turn, turn, turn. It's the season of the muzzle loader. Apparently, there's a special season for black powder guns. Who knew? I didn't. I'm sure many of you do. We learn something every day covering these cases.
And had you been hunting with it?
Yes, I was.
And what did you do when you saw the muzzle loader?
I picked it up.
And what did you do?
I brought it up to my shoulder and pointed it at him and told him to get the fuck out of here.
Oh,
And
yes, you did.
what position were you in relation to the door, and what position was he in relation to the door?
I had backed up into the middle of the living room, and he was by my green toolbox, by the door, closer to the door than he was to me.
Did he get the fuck out?
No,
Was the
No, he
door
didn't.
open?
yes,
The door was open, so he could have just gotten the duck out, but he didn't. He kept coming at him. He gave the guy an opportunity to leave. The guy didn't take it.
I'm showing you what has been marked as Exhibit 56. Do you recognize that?
yes.
What does that show?
That is a picture from the living room of my house, and that shows the green toolbox and the front door.
And could you point to, I mean, it's the white door to the left-hand side, correct?
Correct.
And that was open?
Yes.
And what direction did you come from? Down, where are the foot of the stairs?
Yeah, the stairs come down over here. This wall is actually the stairwell.
Okay. And could you show as best you can the direction of your travel after you grabbed the muzzle loader?
I grabbed the muzzle loader off of the green toolbox. I spun around facing the window and backed up roughly to about here.
Okay. And pointed the gun at him?
Yes,
Where did he come from?
he came from right there.
Okay. And Besides not getting out, what did he do next?
He then came towards me and grabbed the muzzleloader.
While you were pointing it at him?
Yes.
And what happened?
We briefly fought back and forth with the muzzleloader, and he was able to pull it out of my hands.
So was he grabbing it by the barrel?
Yes.
And so he pulled the gun completely out of your hand?
Yes.
Okay. Obviously, at that point, you are within that gun's length away from each other?
Yes.
And what happened after he pulled the gun out of your hands?
He was waving it around.
What do you mean by that?
He was pointing it up in both ways so I could not get a hold of it.
I see. So is it fair to say he's trying to keep it away from you?
Yes.
Okay. Were you trying to grab it?
Yes.
Okay. What happened next?
I did manage to grab it in the same way he grabbed it, by the barrel.
And then what?
And then I recall seeing him pulling the trigger.
And fair to say that the trigger, that this is a long gun, correct?
Yes.
And the trigger is the thing that you pull to fire it, correct?
Yes.
And how was the gun positioned when you saw him first trying to pull the trigger?
He had it in his hands as you would normally hold a long gun, and I had the barrel.
Was it up on his shoulder? Was it down by his hip? Do you remember?
It was down by his hip.
And were you actually holding on to a portion of that gun?
Yes, I was holding onto the barrel.
And where was the barrel pointed?
It was pointed directly at my stomach.
And he's trying to pull the trigger?
Yes.
Was it not firing?
It was not.
Is there something other than pulling the trigger that you have to do for that gun to fire?
Yes.
What is that?
You have to cock the hammer back prior to pulling the trigger.
And so when you saw that he was pulling the trigger, what did you do?
I then moved out of the direction of the barrel.
And do what?
I then push the barrel away from me, and I went around his back and grabbed onto the grip of the gun on the rear, and we were still fighting back and forth for it. My arms were around him, holding onto it as he was still holding onto it as well.
All right, just
I mean, first of all, either he has been, I mean, I'm going to give his attorney incredible props right now, because this is one of the best prepped witnesses that I have ever seen. It is very, very difficult when you are involved in a situation like this, a life or death situation, when everything goes so quickly and yet time slows down at the same time, for you to remember every single detail about what happened. And this kid, I gotta call my kid because he looks like a baby to me, is doing an amazing job. And that's either due to the incredible prep that his lawyer spent with him, the incredible amount of time that he spent with him going over every detail so that he would be prepared to answer these questions. And it's difficult, it's difficult as an attorney to not lead. I mean, somebody said, he's asked so many leading questions, they didn't object. Objecting is kind of in poor form, especially when someone like this who's so traumatized is on the stand. But, that didn't stop Adam Lally from, a million objections, or from the judge saying, do you want to object, Mr. Lally? Do you want to object, Mr. Lally? Don't you want to object, Mr. Lally? This judge, from the little that we've seen, takes he backseat. He kind of lets the lawyers do their thing, which I like. But I have to say that this lawyer is incredibly calm and articulate, as is the witness. And I think he just comes across as very believable peer. I agree with you. And calm under pressure. Like the way he's able to, it must be an empty courtroom. If anybody has been to the court, if anybody was there in the courtroom when he testified, please let me know how many other people were in the courtroom. Because I'm curious.
You were behind him and holding on to the gun.
Yes.
He's holding on to the gun too.
Yes.
Okay. And what is going on physically between you two besides holding on to the gun?
We're both fighting each other back and forth, trying to gain full control of the gun.
Okay. And what happened next?
I was able to hit the release that breaks open the weapon.
So you're behind him holding onto the gun?
Yes.
Okay. And where is that release located?
It is on the front of the trigger guard.
And were you able to activate that?
Yes.
And what happened to that gun on that night when you were able to hit that?
The gun then broke open at the breech and the primer fell onto the floor.
What is the breech?
The breech is the back of the barrel.
So does it crack in two?
Yes.
Okay. And located in there somewhere is the primer?
Yes.
And so
So the gun broke in half. I gotta take that back a second.
And the primer fell onto the floor.
what is the breech?
The breech is the back of the barrel.
So does it crack in two?
Yes.
Okay. And located in there somewhere is the primer?
Yes.
And so at that point, when that fell out, what happened next? And where were you guys when that wrestling match and that came out?
We were roughly in the center in front of the wood stove.
And what'd you do next? Or what did he do next?
He was continuing to try to shoot the gun.
How was he trying to do that?
He was pulling the trigger.
Okay. Go ahead.
Then we both fell onto the ground closer to the couch, kind of out of view of this picture.
And correct me if I'm wrong, are you still behind him holding on to it?
No, once the primer fell out, I no longer needed to have control of that.
Okay. And would it have been somewhere closer to this area that you guys fell onto the floor?
Yes.
Okay. Where, well, is it on there or is it still not on there?
Yes.
Where?
About right here.
Okay.
The blood all over
And,
the couch.
Did the fight end at that point?
No.
What was going on? Well, to the best of your recollection, how were you guys positioned on the floor when you fell?
He was on his back and I was on top of him with one or both of my legs on his body trying to control him.
Okay. And what do you mean trying to control him?
Just trying to keep him on the ground.
Had you strike that? So he's on the actual wood floor. On
Yes.
his back, and you got one or both of your knees on him.
Yes.
And what are your hands doing?
My hands are controlling his hands.
And what is he doing?
He is trying to gain control of his own hands.
Okay. Would you describe it as kind of a wrestling match on the floor at that point?
Yes.
And think you heard the 911 recording. You hear Brooks say that you have him on the ground, correct?
Yes.
And were you able to keep him on the ground for a little while?
For a brief period.
Okay. And then what happened?
Then he did get control of his arms, and he was able to scooch closer to the couch and scooched his back up to the couch. So he was sitting with his back up to the couch right here.
And where were you when he was doing that?
I was still standing over him.
Okay. And then what happened?
Then he was able to lift himself and me up onto the couch.
Okay.
Himself and me.
And where on the couch were you guys at that point?
We were right here with the jacket and the bloodstain.
Okay. He's on his back on the couch.
Yes.
And where were you?
I was standing on the floor right here.
After he lifted you up onto the couch?
Yes. Then I essentially stood up on the floor.
And what were you doing with your hands?
I was still trying to control his hands.
Okay. Was he fighting back still?
Yes.
All right. What was your plan while you were holding him down?
I was waiting for the police to arrive.
And was he able to escape you before that happened?
Yes.
I mean, imagine every second that goes by feels like an hour waiting for the police to arrive, waiting for the police to arrive.
So, actually, did something happen with did you do something with the muzzle loader after that was over with?
Yes.
What'd you do?
While I was standing on the floor and he was on the couch, I slid the muzzleloader across the floor with my foot over to the front door where Brooke was outside.
All right. And continued on the couch, correct?
Yes.
All right. What happened next?
Then I got up and ran over to the closet by the front door and grabbed the shotgun.
Whose shotgun was it? Or is it?
I do not know.
And so were you, what position were you in at strike that? When you got the shotgun, you got it out of the closet, is that correct?
Yes.
And so,
There are many people who are just joining now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. But you're asking a lot of questions of things that we've already covered in the first hour and 15 minutes of the stream. So I can't keep stopping the stream to answer questions. If somebody can help the people who want to know about what happened with Daniel Penny and other things in the chat, that would be great. Vivian, I think you were misunderstanding what Scott McGinnis was saying, because Scott McGinnis is all for, hi Vivian, is all for Brian Camp in this case, but Scott McGinnis is very, very, very familiar with what is going on in Massachusetts and the corruption and the cover-ups and the Karen Reed case. So I think you might have just misunderstood his comment, but he is totally on your side here. Just want to clear that up. Moving on.
did you tell the jury or show the jury where it was that you were when you had the shotgun initially in your hand?
I was right here by the closet door.
And do you remember where he was?
He was right here.
Okay. And what did you do when you got the shotgun out?
I pointed it at him.
Did you tell him to do anything again?
Yes, I told him to get out.
Did he?
No,
What did he do?
he grabbed the shotgun in the same manner he grabbed the muzzle loader.
And what do you mean by that? He grabbed the barrel?
Yes,
And so he's got the barrel, you have the butt end, is that right?
yes.
And what happens?
The shotgun breaks in half.
What part of the gun did he wind up with, and what part of the gun did you wind up with?
He had the barrel of the gun, and I had the stock of the gun.
I'm fine. Thank you for asking. If you were here at the beginning of the stream, you would have heard about the night that we had last night. So thank you for telling me that I look tired. But despite what people think, that's not a compliment. It's not a compliment. This is now gun number 2, if you're keeping track. This is gun number 2. He's told the guy to get out. How many times? How many times has he told the guy to get out? He's given him every opportunity to leave. The door is open. The guy won't leave. What's he supposed to do? His babies are sleeping upstairs. Thank you, Amber.
You have a moment, Judge?
You may.
What happens after, well, what is your reaction to the gun breaking in two?
My reaction was, what the fuck?
And what happened next?
So I was mistaken before. It was the second gun that broke. I didn't realize there was a second gun, and then the Sig Sauer came out. I didn't realize that the musket loader is supposed to do that. So thanks whoever pointed that out to me. I didn't know. I thought there was the one musket loader and then the Sig Sauer, but apparently there was the musket loader, then the long gun, and then the Sig Sauer.
We then were beating each other over the head with pieces of the shotgun.
Okay. He with the barrel, you with the stock?
Yes,
Okay. And do you remember where that started? Did it start right where you had raised the gun and he had grabbed it?
yes.
Was he saying anything to you at that point?
At that point, no.
What happened after that initial break of the gun? Or, I'm sorry, after you started hitting each other with the gun parts?
He starts to move further into the living room as we're hitting each other back and forth.
Can you show the jury with your pointer which way?
We started here and made our way this way.
Okay, cameraman, can we
He-
focus on the exhibit that he's pointing to? Could we zoom in on the exhibit and let him show us where he's pointing to? I mean, you have one job, literally one job, and that's to show the people at home who are not allowed to watch this trial in its entirety what he's pointing at on the screen. I don't know if it's even a Court TV camera. Could be a pool camera. I'm not sure.
Is closest to us and you are on the other side, is that right?
Correct.
So he's backing up?
Yes,
Okay. And you're both hitting each other with these implements as you're traveling through the house?
yes.
And where ultimately do the two of you go?
We go through the living room into the hallway that connects the kitchen to the living room, then briefly through the kitchen and into the dining room area.
Is there any sort of ceasefire between the two of you, or was there, you just clubbing each other the whole way?
It was back and forth the whole way.
It's terrifying what happened to him. Terrifying. What the duck? We like to substitute duck, Suzanne. You're free to use the word duck as much as you would like.
How far into the...
IYK.
Is it fair to say that you went circled through the kitchen and into the dining area?
Yes,
And is that where a sliding glass door there?
Yes.
And what happened around that area?
I swung the shotgun, breaking an overhead light fixture and breaking the shotgun over his head.
And by the way, after it had broken, did you actually change the position of the gun from its original position in your hand?
I did. I did turn it around and grab it by where the barrel was.
Okay. And after the stock broke, straight that, or that, is it fair to say that correct me if I'm wrong. What is, this is marked as exhibit number 19. What does that show?
This shows a picture taken from behind my green toolbox by the front door
So,
into
I'm sorry, go ahead.
into the kitchen where we ended up by the glass door.
Okay. And where was he at that point?
He had his back to the glass door,
And where's the front door?
right in line with the way this picture is taken.
But where?
Right here, further.
And where were you?
I was in front of him, roughly about here.
Okay.
You can see the light.
After you broke the stock,
Keep your eyes on the exhibits, guys, and see if you spy. We're gonna play I Spy now. Like, where's Waldo? See if you spy the his jacket on the back of the sofa anywhere, right? Because isn't that where it was?
what did you do?
I essentially deemed it useless because it was much shorter than it was. It was several inches shorter after it broke. And I did not want to get that close to him.
So what'd you do?
I then started to back up.
And what did he do as you were backing up?
He continued to follow me and swing at me with the gun barrel.
And as you're backing up, what portion of the house are you headed towards?
We're headed towards the kitchen.
And what happens?
We make our way completely into the kitchen, and I notice my firearm on the top of the top cabinet, and I grab my firearm with my left hand, took the holster off with my right hand, and then shot him.
About how far away from you was he?
About 2 feet.
2 feet from the end of the barrel or 2 feet?
Yes.
I mean,
What
I mean,
happened?
it gave him enough opportunities to get the duck out of there, right? I mean, is it just me? Somebody asked in the chat, why are they saying that the first shot was okay, the second shot wasn't? It wasn't, because they're saying the second shot was 8 minutes later, and he shot him in the head. Honey, I just don't feel like crap now. I was at Dave Matthews on Friday night. Last night I was at a fundraiser for Karen Reed. I drove 5 hours to Boston, then I drove 5 hours back. I mean, not to Boston, but like outside of Rhode Island. Yeah, I'm tired, but I'm absolutely fine. Don't worry about me. I'm still here, still doing the things and stuff with you. Thank you, though.
And what did he do after you shot him?
He fell to the ground.
And did he fall on his front?
No, he fell on his back.
Okay. And what did you do?
I went outside, ran out of the house to find Brooke.
And was she out there?
Yes, she was.
Okay. And what did you do next?
I
By the way, we hear you say that he's moaning on the 911 call. Is this where he's moaning?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, I interrupted you.
After I checked on Brooke, and knew that she was okay. I then went upstairs and checked on the girls. I was still naked, so I just popped my head through the door, and then I went into my bedroom and put pants on.
And did you do anything else when you were upstairs?
No.
You've heard Attorney Gagnon talk about and read about your phone call to your boss. Did that happen at some point?
Yes.
Bring us from what you can remember from.
Okay, so the prosecution also made a big deal about him like calling his boss at some point after shooting Johnathan Letendre for the first time. So now I'm curious because I don't know what this call was about or why he called his boss, but let's hear about it.
When you went upstairs to put pants on, where did you go after that?
I went downstairs and I got Brooke shoes because she was outside in the snow. And then I believe I went inside and called my boss.
Okay.
Saggy Beach 84. We don't use the F word on this channel, so I'm deleting that comment. You can substitute the word duck, please. YouTube AI scans the chat, and I don't need to be shadow banned any further than this case is already being, but thanks for chiming in.
Did you have a conversation with him, as Attorney Gagnon pointed out?
I did.
And after that conversation, he sent you a text, I believe?
Yes.
And at that point, where are the girls?
They are in their bedroom.
And where is Mr. We now know Mr. Letendre?
He is in the kitchen, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay. And Brooke was outside, is that right?
Yes.
I can't believe the kid slept through it, Amy, but I was thinking the same thing.
And so, did you take pictures?
Yes.
Did you take only a picture of Mr. Letendre?
No.
I'm going to show you this. No, it's pretty dark. Can you tell us what these are? Are these pictures that you took?
Yes.
And obviously, that's Mr. Letendre on the upper left, correct?
Yes.
And what's below him, which is really not visible?
The shotgun barrel.
No. I mean the photograph.
The photograph below is a picture of the stairwell with my bloody handprint on it.
Okay. And what's next to that?
Next to that is a picture of the floor in my bedroom.
And what's above that?
The other side of the room with the linoleum.
And what's the final picture up there?
That would be the girl's bedroom door.
Okay.
It may be too graphic and bloody to show now that I think about it. But maybe not the girl's bedroom door. But maybe they're all on the same screen, and that's why the cameraman is staying away. So I'm going to cut him a little bit of a break.
So you took these that night, correct?
Yes.
These are fair and accurate representations of all those things in your house, correct?
Yes.
I asked you to enter this, Your Honor.
All right, that will be the next exhibit, 84.
It's the first time a judge has said anything in days.
Exhibit
I was like,
84.
Elf Susie, she smashed him over the head with a bottle. What is Brooke supposed to do? She's on the phone with 911 trying to get them to come. I don't find it strange. You guys find Brooke's behavior strange? She can't run in and get the girls because they're
Uh.
they're inside fighting over guns. Like, she doesn't want to get caught in the crossfire. And thank God, I think the girls stayed asleep, right? Could have been a much messier situation.
What did you do next?
I then went back outside, expecting the police to be there.
And
Well.
what happened?
They were not.
And then what happened?
Then I was talking through Brooke to the 911 operator.
Okay, so you could hear Brooke talking to the operator,
Yes.
That's true too.
and when you say you were talking, I'm sorry, what did you say? Say that again. You were
I said I was talking through Brooke to the operator.
Okay, and we've heard that in this case, correct?
Yes.
And I'm not expecting you to know exactly when certain things were said or whatever, but what generally are you talking about when you're talking to the 911 operator through Brooke?
She's asking me to check on Johnathan and check his status and where he may have been shot.
Okay. Fair to say that we hear you respond to those requests angrily?
Yes.
Did you want to go in there and check on Johnathan?
No.
Hold on a second. They asked him to go check on Johnathan. Hold on. When we listened to that 911 call, it was very indecipherable. Brooke was hysterical. She was screaming. She was having a panic attack. We couldn't make out anything that Brooke said. We did hear some things that the 911 operator said, but I don't remember that the 911 operator said, tell your boyfriend, tell Brian to go check on Johnathan. He's like, oh, really? Hold on.
Expecting you to know exactly when certain things were said or whatever, but what generally are you talking about when you're talking to the 911 operator through Brooke?
She's asking me to check on Johnathan and check his status and where he may have been shot.
Okay.
Yeah, where he may have been shot. Go check on the intruder.
Fair
Go
to
check
say
on the
that-
guy who just tried to kill your whole entire family. Let us know how he's doing. Because maybe then we can get, life-saving measures there quicker. Johnathan, who's one of my excellent behind-the-scenes paralegals and who happens to be a paralegal in Massachusetts and is also from Long Island, which is so cool, says that this is a court-appointed attorney. It's important to point out, and I'm not sure about this county, but in many counties, because certain public defenders are not trying murder cases on the regular, let's just say, perhaps in this county, in Hampshire County, they do hire private attorneys. For example, here on Long Island in Suffolk County, there are no murder specialized public defenders, and so they do hire private attorneys. That is why Rex Heuermann, who is the suspected, accused, innocent until proven guilty, Long Island serial killer, has been appointed an attorney by the name of Michael Brown, who is a very, very highly skilled private defense attorney. So sometimes, I mean, no shade to any public defenders. They're all amazing attorneys, but sometimes they just don't have the skill level to try a murder case. And so it's my thought, Johnathan, perhaps you can let me know, that Mr. Kokakowski is also a private defense attorney. And in my opinion, Brian Camp got very, very lucky with this assignment.
We hear you respond to those requests angrily.
Yes.
Did you want to go in there and check on Johnathan?
No.
Now we're going to know why the second shot came 8 minutes later.
Did you have any idea what time it was at that point?
No.
This is true, John Doe, except in New York, we do not have the death penalty. And I do not believe that you have the death penalty in Massachusetts. So, yeah, similarly, I hear what you're saying, but you're probably referring to something like Idaho. And the reason that Brian Koberger, Brian Koberger was assigned Ann Taylor as his attorney because she's death penalty certified. Yes, I hear what you're saying, but that does not apply in New York or Massachusetts.
At some point, did you decide to go in and check on Johnathan?
Yes.
And what was it that was said on the 911 call that caused you to finally go in and check on him?
Brooke told me that they need to know.
Need to know if he's dead?
And who did you, well, strike that.
I mean, that's interesting because it's hearsay, but they're letting it in. Well, because we heard the 911 call.
So what did you do?
I went inside to do what the state police was asking.
And where did you go?
I went inside.
And to where?
I went through the living room into the dining room area in front of, or I passed by the front of the stairs.
And did you have your firearm with you?
I did.
And when you had, well, first of all, after Johnathan fell onto his back, did you observe him able to move?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
and
important.
Was he saying things to you at that point?
Yes, he was.
And what were the things he was saying to you while he was on the ground?
He said multiple times in a row, I need an attorney. And then he said multiple times in a row, I am going to kill you.
I need an attorney, like as in you need an attorney? Or was he actually saying, I need an attorney and I'm going to kill you? Or was he saying you need an attorney and I'm going to kill you? I need clarity on this. Counselor, can you clarify that? Can you clean that up for us? Hold on.
He said multiple times in a row, I need an attorney. And then he said multiple times in a row, I am going to kill you.
And you had not been back there for some period of time, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so you went where?
I went around the staircase in the front and I took a right around the staircase.
Well, so you go to the you head to the staircase, going into the kitchen?
Into the dining room.
Okay, so you went left.
Yes.
Okay. And what happened?
As I came around the corner, I saw him getting up and I shot him again.
Okay. When you say getting up,
Saw him getting up. So what he did to him the first couple of times. Great point. If the 911 operator never told him to go back in the house and check on Johnathan, maybe Johnathan would still be alive. Take it back.
Yes.
okay. And so you go to the you head to the staircase, going into the kitchen?
Into the dining room.
Okay, so you went left.
Yes.
Okay. And what happened?
As I came around the corner, I saw him getting up and I shot him again.
Okay. When you say getting up, what did you see his position to be?
I saw his arms extended underneath of him and the majority of his body off the ground.
Okay. And did that surprise you?
Yes, it did.
What did you do after you pulled the trigger?
I immediately went right back out of the house, out the front door.
Okay. And were the police there yet?
No.
Okay. What did you do outside?
I then walked over to where Brooke was
And eventually did the police come?
Yes, eventually they did come.
Okay. And we've seen a video of them arriving, correct?
Yes.
Cam, please don't spread information in the chat. Please don't spread information in the chat. Not true. Not true at all. Not true at all. OJ Simpson was acquitted and the civil suit was actually very successful. So please, please, I know you passed the bar, but please refrain from misinformation in the chat. I'm going to delete that comment. Thank you. Difficult, not impossible.
You were placed in a cruiser, is that right?
Yes.
And that was for some period of time, correct?
Correct.
And I believe we've established that the 911 call was made at 12:37, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes.
And you wind up at the state police barracks at about 6:05, is that correct?
Yes.
I agree, KPT.
Had you ever shot anybody before?
No.
Do you remember about how long it was that you remained in the ambulance at your house?
I do not remember a specific time, but it was a lengthy period of time.
Okay. And in that period of time, what was happening to you physically?
What are you talking about?
Everything was
Right here.
continuing
Right
to hurt worse, and I was essentially in shock.
Were you able to see your body? What was going on with blood on your body, etc.?
I could see my hands, and I briefly saw a reflection of my face either off a metal or glass surface in the ambulance.
Did you have knee surgery in high school?
I had knee surgery right after high school.
John Doe, also please stop spreading information in the chat. Grand juries don't convict anyone. A grand jury's purpose is not to convict. A grand jury's purpose is to indict. And you can pretty much indict a ham sandwich if you're a decent prosecutor. So please, if you don't know, if you're not an attorney, please stop giving legal advice in the chat. Please stop giving legal commentary in the chat. Please stop spreading misinformation in the chat. If you don't know something, just say, in my opinion, I read somewhere, etc. We're a fact-based channel. It's a legal-based channel. So please, please, I beg of you.
Right now. In the ambulance with you were who?
EMTs and state troopers.
Do you recall how many state troopers?
They were going in and out, but there was always one state trooper in the ambulance with me at all times.
Okay. And the ambulance remained at the house for a long time, correct?
Yes,
Why?
because I did not want to go to the hospital at the time. I wanted to see Brooke and my children.
And hug my
Did
kids.
they let you do that?
No,
So it was your request to stay there to try to see your kids in Brooke.
yes,
And were they treating you for any of these injuries at that point?
no,
Had you asked for some water?
yes.
Why specifically?
I had blood in my mouth.
I mean, that was amazing to me too, right? He gets medical treatment. They put a cast on his arm. Nobody who's giving him medical attention, and I guess we're going to find out where he got the cast on his arm, thought maybe let me help this poor boy and clean off his face, clean the blood off of his face. If nothing else, for to check if there was some other place where the blood was coming from, right? We saw him during his interrogation. He was still, his face was all bloody and caked on blood, and his arm was in a cast.
What was going on with you, as best you can answer, psychologically?
I was having a hard time processing what just happened, and my mental state was blurry and jumbled up at best.
Yeah, I was
And,
jumbled too.
Was that while you were in the ambulance?
Yes, and over time getting worse.
Okay. At some point, you actually asked to go to the hospital, correct?
Yes,
Why?
because I had sat in the ambulance for a lengthy period of time and nothing was happening, and I was definitely injured. So I figured if I could not see Brooke and the kids, I might as well get the treatment or be looked at by the people at the hospital.
I'm going to show you what, and when you were at the hospital, you heard, I believe, or did you hear, I believe it was Trooper O'Brien, who said that you were at the hospital for about an hour and a half before they took you to the barracks. Is that, first of all, do you remember that being what he said? Second of all, if you do, does that sound about right?
Yes, I do remember that that is what he said, and it does sound accurate.
Before you left the hospital, was it state police that took photos of you?
Yes, I believe so.
And I'm showing you what's been marked as exhibit number 54. You see that?
Yes,
What's that a picture of?
that is a picture of my legs.
And drawing your attention to what appears to be your left knee. Can you describe what's going on there?
Yeah, it is severely swollen.
And was that injured during the fight?
Yes.
Showing you what's been marked as exhibit 47. What is that?
That appears to be my right hand.
And
Wow.
what observations are you making of your right hand in that picture?
I can see it swollen right here.
And obviously there's blood on it.
Correct.
Obviously a picture of your face, correct?
Yes.
And that is exhibit number
Wow.
45.
I mean, if you're not looking at the screen, come and look at the screen to see the way his face looked when he was in the hospital immediately following this. I mean, the guy was brutalized by the intruder, Johnathan Letendre. Wow.
Last one for this, exhibit number 42. They asked you to pull your shirt up, is that right?
Yes.
And what observation do you make of what you're observing about your body there?
I can see I have blood on my body, and I believe I see bruising.
Let's go back. Thank you, Dark Willow. I was kind of like watching the chat. I want to see what his eyeballs look like too. Hang on. Let's go back. Yeah, the guy did try to gouge his eyes out. Yeah, I mean, look at this. Jesus. Right, Jess. He's gonna fight for his life. I'm so glad he took the stand. When you claim self-defense, the burden does shift to the defense. So you kind of have to. Some cases we've seen recently they didn't. The reason Daniel Penny did not take the stand in his self-defense case is because the jury was able to hear from him in the form of his interrogation video. In this case, similarly, the jury also saw the interrogation video of Brian Camp, but I do think it was well, maybe I should watch The Cross before I say that. I think it was a good idea to put him on the stand. If you have seen The Cross, no spoilers from me because I haven't. We're going to watch it after this. But right now, I think it's good that he's on the stand. Let's go back to where we were. Burden shifting is not unconstitutional when there's an affirmative defense.
Did they give you any medication for your pain when they discharged you?
No.
And you were transported to the barracks by state troopers, correct?
Yes.
And who obviously you see the video of you in the big table with the troopers, correct?
Yes.
Can you describe as best you can? I mean, we've seen the video and the questions that they ask you. Fair to say that your answers sometimes are not accurate, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe at that point, as you were walking into the barracks, you now know what was injured on you as you were walking into the barracks?
Yes.
What?
My head, my hand, and my knee specifically, and my entire body was beaten up.
And can you describe as best you can what was going on psychologically with you at that point?
I was trying to process what had happened that night.
Okay. And you'd agree that that some of the when they start asking you specifically about numbers of shots and distances apart and all that kind of stuff, you appear confused initially, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And by the way, when you left the house after shooting Mr. Letendre as he was getting up, you heard in the 911 call that the 911 operator was asking if you shot again, correct?
Yes.
Brooke did
And
not
Brooke was
testify.
asking you again. Brooke was translating for the 911 operator, correct?
Yes.
And she asked you if you shot again, correct?
Yes.
And what did you do?
I gave Brooke an affirmative nod, yes.
And she told 911 that you shot again, correct?
Yes.
That was some number of hours before, correct?
Correct.
Okay. As best you can, again, as best you can you describe the way that you were thinking specifically with regard to the shootings?
I was having a hard time defining 2 separate times where I shot him.
Okay. And
Because remember, during his interrogation video, he said, I'm not sure if I shot him again. Did I shoot him? I don't remember, Yeah, and about the pain med thing, the opioid crisis is real. They are not giving anybody pain meds anymore. Right? Kind of rare. Maybe they'll give you some like ibuprofen 600s or something, but I think during his interrogation, after he just got out of the hospital and he's worried about his wife and his daughters, he's very confused, and I think he was a little bit iffy about whether he shot him more than once.
okay. And you see you initially saying, I don't remember. Could one, maybe 2. If it was 2, I did it quickly.
Yes.
When you're answering that way, it's best to remember. Are you trying to deceive?
No.
Sustaining the point.
You got the answer
Are you
out.
struggling with processing the shooting?
Objection leading. It is. Can rephrase your question.
What was happening in your head with regard to trying to process the fact that you shot a guy?
I was having trouble defining 2 separate instances where I had shot him.
Okay.
Right. Toy says he was ambushed in his sleep. Who would remember everything to a T? And after having to wait 20 minutes before her help arrived, right. And then he's in the hospital for an hour and a half. They won't let him see his wife and daughter. And then it's 6 hours later by the time he's giving this statement, right? I agree with you, Toy. I hope the jury does.
It's now been, almost 2 years since this incident occurred, correct?
Yes, it'll be 2 years this Christmas.
And you've had time to process this whole situation, is that correct?
Yes.
You've watched videos of this case, correct?
Yes.
You've listened to the 911 call, correct?
Yes.
You've met with me a number of times at your house or at 239 South Street, correct?
Yes.
I don't know. Brooke didn't testify. I don't know if they're still
When
together.
you-
I don't know. Somebody said that they know them personally. Marie Angelina. I don't know if you know if they're still together or not, but the prosecution could have called her. They didn't. The defense doesn't need to prove anything. It may have been way too traumatic for Brooke to be called to the stand. I can imagine. I mean, to put her through that. She wasn't there. She didn't see anything. She's outside on the 911 call. So I don't think that putting her on the stand and putting her through the trauma of testifying would be worth it. Like, I don't think there's any payoff there, but it's a great question. And that's my opinion. And I don't know, is the jury not going to like that she was outside? What did she say? Brian and Letendre were the only 2 there, and one of them is dead. We heard the 911 call, so we know what the operator said to her. So I think it's okay. I think it's all right.
Said on the video, if I ever did something like that, I would hope someone would put me down. What do you mean?
I meant that if I ever tried to murder somebody, that somebody would stop me.
Right. I made a big deal about that in their opening to the prosecution, that he said in his interrogation video that if I ever did that, I would hope that somebody would put me down. Let's listen to his explanation again.
And South Street, correct?
Yes.
When you said on the video, if I ever did something like that, I would hope someone would put me down. What do you mean?
I meant that if I ever tried to murder somebody, that somebody would stop me.
Right. That's what I said during that's what I said that I thought that he meant when we watched his interrogation. I'm glad that that's what he's saying. I would hope someone would put me down I would hope someone would put me down. Meaning that if I tried to go in there and kill someone's wife and kids, I would hope that they would murder me. Hear it
I
again.
meant that if I ever tried to murder somebody, that somebody would stop me.
Okay.
There you go. Those papers rustling in my earbuds. Anybody else? Like, oh.
When you went to bed that night, right after Christmas, were you expecting to have to, first of all, were you expecting that someone was gonna break into your home?
No,
And were you expecting that you were going to have to fight somebody over firearms?
no,
Were you expecting that you were going to have to wrestle firearms away from a home intruder in your house?
no,
Were you wanting to shoot somebody to death that night?
no.
Why didn't you shoot him with the muzzle loader?
I was not trying to shoot anybody.
What did you want him to do?
That was
I
gun
wanted
number
him to
one.
get out of the house.
And each time that he was given an opportunity, what would he do? Opportunity to leave the house, what would he do?
He would not take the opportunity and then charge right towards me.
And going back a little bit with regard to the photograph that you took of Mr. Letendre as he was lying on the linoleum face down with his hand on his head, I believe the trooper testified to my question that photograph was taken at 12:52, correct?
Yes,
I'm not asking you to remember that, but you remember that that's what he said, right?
yes.
Have one moment, Judge.
You ready?
Did you even want to go back in and check on him?
No.
That's all I have.
All right, prosecutor, yeah, we approached it. You may.
I need to give him a round of applause. So I'll give Jonathan a round of applause before we get into the cross-examination, okay? And let's take a look at the chat. See what you guys are doing. What are you doing over here? Hi, Romy. Thanks for the 10. I love seeing all the pictures. It's heartwarming to see Karen Reed surrounded by people who genuinely care for and support her. Yeah, it was. It was. Thank you so much. So many peeps were thrilled that I was at the event. Oh, thank you, CPU Mod 1. It was so nice to FaceTime with you through your brother, Tom CPU. Hanky Panky's Whittaway. You guys, your names are the best. Thanks for the 5. Thanks for always being classy, Mel. Sorry, my new name isn't. I like it. It's funny. I'll allow it. We appreciate all your legal breakdown, watching the Brian Camp trial. Free Brian Camp. Tomorrow's the day, you guys. If you want a free Brian Camp, get to Hampshire County. Get thee to Hampshire County tomorrow. Because I don't even know if anybody's live tweeting from the courtroom. I don't know how we're going to know that there's a verdict. I don't know that it's going to be televised. If anybody knows whether, I'm going to do my due diligence after this, because right before I got on the stream, I just walked in the house from a 5.5 hour drive. So I haven't had a chance to even listen to Court TV to see if they're going to be live streaming the closings tomorrow. I don't know why they're not live streaming this entire trial, but I have my ideas. KLM, thanks for the 10. What does jury nullification mean? Does Court TV analysis peep said this should be a direct verdict or a directed verdict or nullification? Jury nullification is when the judge instructs the jury on the law and the jury is like, yeah, okay, we see your law. We disagree, not guilty. A directed verdict is made after the close of the evidence in nearly every case that we watch, where the defense will make a motion to the judge and say, Your Honor, we're going to ask for a directed verdict. in this case because we do not believe that any jury could ever find my client guilty based on the weight of the evidence. Please direct a verdict in my client's favor. And typically the judge says, no, I'm going to let it go to the jury. And then the jury makes their decision, their verdict. And if they come back with a guilty verdict, that verdict can be appealed and they can ask the appellate court to overturn the verdict based upon the weight of the evidence and many, many other things. Hopefully it doesn't get that far. Hopefully it's a not guilty and we don't have to continue our quest to free Brian Camp because he'll be free. But he's not actually in custody, but you know what I mean. He's been going through this for a long time. Oh, thank you. Chloe's mom, gossip, rumor, and innuendo reached her goal of 10,000 because of you. No, actually, she had already reached 10,000. This is interesting. And she had already had that 10,000 celebration planned. And then when you guys watched her with me, now she's up to 12,000. So thank you guys for that. I know she was doing a celebration stream tonight, but because I was in the car driving, I couldn't get on there and just say congratulations, but I will. She sent me a lovely email thanking me for my support. And that's what we do here. We build up other women. We help other creators, women or not, creators that we think are doing the right thing. So there's that. I don't know if thank you, Cherie, for chiming in. I don't know if they asked for a directed verdict after the close of the prosecution's case. That is typically when it's done. And then it can be done again after the defense is closing, after closings, but closings haven't happened yet. Closings will happen tomorrow. Brooke will not be called. The defense has rested its case. So closings tomorrow. Some states, they do jury instructions before the closing. Some states, they do them after. Some states, they do some before and some after. Some, it depends on the judge. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. If, for the love of the traveling Mary, this is actually televised, which I just don't know. Mermaid Mary RN, thanks to the 5. Hi, can you cover the missing Hana Kobayashi case, 30 years old and way to New York to visit her aunt? I sent you a DM on Instagram. The DMs on Instagram go into a black hole. Please, if you're going to email me something, email it to my fan base at mlittlelaw email, because DMs on Instagram don't get to me. They fall in a black hole. I get 1,000 a day. The best way is email. My mods can put it up. I will read the emails. I don't always respond to all emails. If I get a chance to take a look at it and it's something that I find interesting and necessary, then I will cover it. But there are so many cases, so little time, as you know. But thank you for that. I don't know about it yet, so can't promise you anything, but I will take a look. Thank you. Kay Willis, the realtor, is here. It's sad to see what this state is becoming. Thank you for the 5. And I hope if you are selling real estate in Massachusetts, that it's not affecting your business. Although if everyone in Canton is putting their houses up for sale, that could help your business actually. So there's that. Thank you, Kay. Sarah, be creative. Primitive arms season is the last 2 weeks of December. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so that's when the musket loaders are used then, yeah? Black powder guns are used only for the last 2 weeks of December. And this was on December 27th. That's why the musket loader was out. Makes sense. Thank you, Sarah, be creative, for pointing that out to us. I appreciate that. Allie B from Tennessee says, thanks for covering this. I was watching alone on Court TV, but then I saw you were live, so I popped over. Excellent. Thanks for coming, Allie. Pray the jury finds this young man innocent. So we are all praying. Everyone just put some prayer hands up for Brian Camp. He needs them. Thank you so much, Allie, for your 5. I appreciate you. And Mama She, thank you for coming in with a 20. I'm so glad you're here tonight, calming my mama nerves before my baby boy River's surgery in the morning. Wait, I thought River had surgery last week. Was it delayed? Is he having another surgery? Wait, didn't you say that he was having surgery last week? Or were you going for your pre-op visit? All right, prayer hands up for River. Thank you, Mama She, for the 20. And of course, prayers for River. And I hope, because I remember telling the story about my daughter came out of anesthesia after her surgery. And she says she saw Meredith Gray in the operating room. And also George. So prayers up for River. Thank you, Mama She. And also for your super chat. Just ducking around. Massachusetts at his best. Not so much. Says ducking around. Thank you for the 5. And Marie Angelina, who knows Brian Camp, says, I remember him having black eyes for a bit after this when I saw him. Did this rock your small town? The population of Chesterfield is only something like 1,100 people. So I can imagine this rocking your Rocking your town. Rocking your small town. All right. Rocking in the free world. Here we go. We're going back for cross. Back into Hampshire County, Massachusetts. Hampshire Superior in Northampton. And this is the cross, or the portion of the cross that Court TV is going to let us see. I think I need to. There we go. Buckle up.
The individual who broke into your home that night, you had never seen him before,
That is correct.
so you didn't recognize him?
No.
You didn't know his name?
No.
You later learned who he was, though, correct?
Yes.
And had you been told previously by Ms. Janik that she had had a relationship with Mr. Letendre?
No.
She never told you that?
No.
She never told you that she'd had a fling with her boss during your breakup earlier in 2022?
No.
Why is that so hard to believe? They were on a
So,
break.
let me-
They were on a break. He did what he did. She did what she did. Do they need to tell each other about it? I would submit to you that it's probably better not to tell each other about it. But, you know, he's going to try and tell the jury that that's unusual. All right.
Let me start off with the point where you say you heard something smash, some type of glass breaking up in the bedroom. You know which point I'm talking about?
Yes.
And during your interview with the police, you said it sounded like a beer bottle, but you guys don't drink beer, so that didn't make sense, correct?
I said I assumed it was a beer bottle because of the smash.
Oh, he's good.
But then you pretty much quickly said, no, that doesn't make sense because we don't drink beer.
Correct.
Then you said, well, maybe it was maybe it was a light bulb.
Yes.
Okay, but at the time you were interviewed by the police, you really weren't sure what had smashed.
Correct. I was unsure.
Now, you later learned that that was actually Brooke.
So the prosecutor stops to say, bless you, to someone in the courtroom who sneezed. But in my opinion, I think, Ashley Oaks, I think he's being a little, I don't know, not so warm and fuzzy towards him. And maybe unnecessarily belligerent, but we'll see how it goes.
Janik, your girlfriend, smashing him over the head with a glass bong, correct?
Yes.
Oh, a bong. Oh, okay. So they're
And
bad
that's-
people because they smoke weed where it's legal in Massachusetts? Is that where we're going? Did he say bong? Hold on.
What bong? Actually, Brooke Janik, your girlfriend, smashing him over the head with a glass bong, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what they're going to do. Potheads.
And that's what seemingly started Mr. Letendre bleeding quite profusely, correct?
Yes.
Bleeding from his head.
Yes.
Now, you testified that you were able to sort of get some type of chokehold onto Mr. Letendre, am I right?
Yes.
And at some point, you were able to actually sort of break free from him and escape the bedroom, am I right?
Yes.
Now, when you ran out of the bedroom, if you kept going straight across the hallway, that would have been into the girls' room, all right? Am I right?
Yes.
Instead, you took a right, went down the stairs.
Yes.
And when you got to the bottom of the stairs, Mr. Letendre was still upstairs.
No.
I agree.
Well,
B.
who got downstairs first?
Me.
So Mr. Letendre was behind you.
Correct.
Okay, so when you left the bedroom, he was still in the bedroom.
Yes.
And when you started going down the stairs, he was still in the bedroom.
Chasing him down
When
the
I started
stairs.
going down the stairs, he was up, trailing me out of the bedroom, trailing me going down the stairs.
Okay. And so he was closer to your girls than you were.
For a brief period.
He was closer to your
So when
girls
you get to
than
the
you
bottom of the
were.
stairs,
So you're a bad dad because you ran away from where your girls were and left him upstairs with your girls. Really? Is that the tactic you're going to take here, Mr. Prosecutor? Uh-huh. It's me, V, says the jury may dislike the prosecutor because Mr. Camp was very believable. When you have a witness like this, you need to treat him kindly with kid gloves because jury's going to love him and they're not going to like you if you're mean to him. There's a way to do this tenderly with kid gloves and get the answers that you think you want without being a jerk. Just saying.
you went for a muzzle loader that was laying on top of your toolbox, am I right?
Yes.
And you actually had to, during the struggle, break it open and dump out the primer so it wouldn't fire, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so prior to that, it was capable of being fired.
Yes.
And you'd left it on top of the toolbox,
Yes.
so it hadn't been secured, wasn't locked up.
Sustained.
Objection.
All
Is
right,
there there a law in Massachusetts that you have to secure your musket loader? Because musket loader sounds to me, and I'm stealing this from Kathy, that it was like something that you used during the Revolutionary War. And if it's on top of a high cabinet, you know, to insinuate that a 5-year-old could reach it. Again, I don't know that there's any law to secure your weapons in Massachusetts, but he was not charged with anything with regard to the firearms. They were all legal. He had licenses for everything and all of them and all the stuff and things. So I don't think that's going to really work out for you. Because guess what? If that muzzle loader was not available and the other guns were not available to him legally, he would probably be dead. And his children may be dead. And his wife may be dead. Because remember, the guy had handcuffs in his pocket and a knife in his jacket. Somebody's like, you should never throw a bong, kid. Actually, it was Brooke who smashed the bong over his head. Smart thinking. Right. And KPT, well, if she was willing to smash a bong, it wasn't that important to her. Exactly. Take that back a question. Right. And the judge immediately struck that question and answer because prosecutor knows he's not supposed to go there.
Yes.
And you'd left it on top of the toolbox,
Yes.
so it hadn't been secured, wasn't locked up.
Sustained.
All right, so
Move to strike. That will be stricken.
Stricken.
all right, so just so we're clear, though, on top of the toolbox, there was your loaded muzzle loader weapon.
Objection.
I'll let you have that.
Am I right?
Yes.
After you'd snapped it open and dumped out the primer, you then reached for a shotgun?
After some time.
Mhm.
Yes.
And that was in a closet?
Yes.
And you knew it was there?
I didn't know.
Well, if you didn't know it was there, why did you open the closet?
There was multiple guns in the closet.
Loaded?
Unclear.
What do you mean?
I did not know.
So you knew there were multiple, when you say multiple weapons in the closet, tell us about that.
Multiple means more than one.
Well, yes,
I
but
love this kid. I
can you
love this
expand on
kid.
that?
When you said there's multiple guns in there, what do you mean by that? It means there's more than one? This prosecutor knows. I mean, you guys tell me. Tell me about Hampshire County. Tell me about Massachusetts. Are people like going to hold it against him that he happens to own a lot of guns for hunting? They're all legal. Is this prosecutor trying to be like, oh, look at this kid. He had a lot of guns. He had kids in the house and they were in a closet and unclear. Multiple means more than one. Great. Love it. Let's go back and listen to that again because that was handled so well. I mean, he's a young kid. He doesn't testify for a living. He doesn't know these questions are coming unless, again, he was so well prepped for this.
Unclear.
They're loaded. Unclear.
Loaded?
Unclear.
What do you mean?
I did not know.
So you knew there were multiple, when you say multiple weapons in the closet, tell us about that.
Multiple means more than one.
Well, yes, but can you expand on that?
There was multiple guns in the closet.
There was multiple guns in the closet. Somebody clip that. This
It's
is
just that simple.
fantastic.
There was multiple guns in the closet.
Are we talking 2, 3, 5, 10?
I'm unclear.
What kind?
All long guns. That is all I know.
Long guns, rifles, hunting. He's a hunter. He said he was a hunter. He said he was a hunter. And HH, if that's you, Hunter, I talked about you early in the stream. It was great to meet you as well. Hunter's my new friend who, if it's Hunter, HH, she was a corrections officer before she started having kids. She's a badass. This prosecutor's voice reminds me of someone, and I just can't place it. Help me place it. Listen to his voice and tell me it's an actor.
You lived pretty much mostly full time in this house, correct?
Yes,
Were these your weapons?
some of them.
And you can't tell us sitting here today how many were in there, even though you owned them and you live there?
Yes,
Yes, you can, or yes, you can't.
I cannot.
So the shotgun that you actually grabbed, was that yours?
No.
And you said that it was kind of a rickety, barely held together shotgun.
Yes,
Did you know that when you grabbed it?
no,
You quickly discovered, though, that it wasn't in good shape.
yes,
It ended up breaking apart during your struggle with Mr. Letendre.
yes,
So
Right, his father-in-law had
Talk about
guns
the
in that
muzzle load-
closet too. Remember, he said they had all this hunting property behind their house. Like I just went hunting, like in the yard. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think maybe Brooke's parents owned the house and they were living in it. Okay, good. Thank you, Leslie. Leslie says peeps in Western Mass hunt and have guns, not an anti-gun area. Guess this is going to depend on the jury, right, Leslie?
loader, we talked about the shotgun. Let's talk about the revolver. You also had a revolver in the house, correct?
correct.
Objection.
No, I mean, you can have that question.
So you did have a revolver in the house,
We
Yes,
used
and
it,
that was
so.
yours,
Yes,
and it was loaded,
yes,
and it was on the kitchen countertop,
yes,
and you left it there
yes,
along with your keys.
yes,
During your interview with the police, you talked about how when you come into the house, you tend to just sort of empty your pockets and dump everything out, correct?
yes,
And is that the place where you would typically just dump things out,
yes,
including your keys and a revolver
yes.
and the Sig Sauer?
Okay, good.
Would not be carrying two weapons at the same time.
So after you'd struggled with Mr. Letendre over the muzzle loader and over the shotgun, you testified that the struggle sort of gravitated over toward the kitchen area, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And when you got to the kitchen area, your loaded revolver was on the countertop, am I right?
yes,
Now, you'd left it there when?
I'm unsure of that.
Was it the last time you'd come in the house?
No,
Was it there for some time?
yes,
Showing you what's been marked as exhibit number 23. Can you see that photo, sir?
yes,
This is your kitchen area, am I right?
yes,
And the countertop we're talking about, zooming in, it's over on the right-hand side, correct?
yes,
I genuinely don't know.
And closer up view, exhibit number 25. This is the shotgun that you grabbed out of the
Oh,
closet,
they just
am I
showed.
right?
yes,
And the revolver is right here where my cursor is.
yes.
They just showed the body by mistake. So if you want to watch it, you can go back and rewind and watch it. But hopefully the AI is not going to catch that. He's trying to make him look like an irresponsible gun owner is what he's trying to do.
So when you ended up in that area of the kitchen battling Mr. Letendre, that revolver was right there on the countertop within arm's reach of you, correct?
Yes,
But during your interview with the police, you said that you actually went for the Sig Sauer, which was somewhere else, am I right?
yes,
You said that it was up above, not in the cabinets, but you said it was up above the cabinets?
yes,
So showing you exhibit number 23. I keep doing that, excuse me. Exhibit number 23. You've got these suspended or elevated cabinets, correct?
yes,
And you testified, excuse me, I believe you told the police during your interview that in order to reach up there to get the firearm, you actually had to climb up onto the countertop to reach. Am I right?
no, I was referring to something else.
Well, when they asked you where the Sig Sauer came from, you said that it was up above the kitchen cabinets. And to get above the kitchen cabinets, you've got to climb up on the countertop. Am I right?
If you needed both your hands to carry the object and hold the object, you would need to climb onto the counter, but you can reach the top of the counter standing. I can reach the top of the counter
Okay.
standing,
So
top
that,
of the cabinet.
That's your memory of what you told the police.
Yes.
And you knew heading into that kitchen area which cabinet top your Sig Sauer was stashed on top of?
Yes.
And how did you know that?
Because that was a common place for it to be.
So who would commonly put your Sig Sauer on top of the kitchen cabinets?
Objection.
I mean, there's the white noise. Wouldn't that be the responsible place to put it if you have kids on top of the cabinet where the kids can't reach? I'm just saying. They're approaching, and he's not on trial for gun charges. There are no gun charges here. I mean, Ryan Reynolds? Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to think of that when I listen to him next. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Like a Ryan Reynolds voiceover in a commercial, maybe. Look how he's able to sit so still. I almost thought the screen was frozen at one point when I was watching him. He's able to sit so still. Let's just see if we have a little fast forward time. I would just say I might have him like unbutton that top button of his shirt, but aside from that, I think he's making a great witness.
Rephrase your question.
Okay. There we go.
All right, you can rephrase your question.
Thank you. How did you know where your Sig Sauer was in the kitchen?
It was a common place for it to be.
Okay. Had you put it there last?
I do not know.
Which countertop or which cabinet was it stashed above? Can you point it out for us, please?
Yes, Amy. It's like an insane Quentin Tarantino movie scene. He's fine.
Or the second, but in line with above the third
Cabinet door.
So you're talking like over here on the right, sort of above where the Tostitos are?
Yep, Tostitos have entered the chat.
roughly.
So your testimony is that when you were cornered in the kitchen, you reached up above this countertop here, right about in the area where this crock pot is and this smiley Halloween-y type thing?
Yes.
You're saying that was a common place to stash your Sig Sauer.
Yes.
And you were able to reach all the way up there from the floor is your testimony.
That's an answer, Judge. Objection.
Yes, it's true.
I'll let you have it.
I'll
That's
let you
your
have
testimony,
it.
sir?
Yes.
And you don't recall telling the police you had to climb up onto the countertop to reach there?
I do recall saying that.
Are you lying then? Were you lying then or are you lying now? Were you lying then or are you lying now? Sir, this guy was trying to kill me. And so, I did what I had to do. And Amy says if he had his guns locked up, he would probably be dead. And his family might be too. Kids were, hi, Miss Scarlett. Miss Scarlett. I don't know nothing about birth and no babies. 2 and 5. The girls were 2 and 5, I believe. If I'm wrong, somebody can kindly correct me in the chat.
So once you get the Sig Sauer down from on top of the cabinets, it's already loaded?
Yes.
It's got 10 rounds in the magazine?
Unsure.
Well, fully loaded?
Unsure.
With hollow tipped rounds?
Yes.
You had loaded those into the weapon, correct?
Yes.
You shoot Mr. Letendre in his torso, correct?
Yes.
So you're holding the gun, am I right? Were you holding it with your right hand?
No.
So you're holding it with your left hand.
Correct.
Are you left-handed?
No.
Which hand did you use to fire it?
Oh, I
My
hate when they
left.
whip out
So
the
you
guns.
shot with your left hand,
Yes.
even though you're right-handed.
Yes.
Why is that?
I grabbed it with my left hand.
Okay, so you reach up, so you're facing Mr. Letendre, you reach up, you grab it off the top of the counter, the cabinet, with your left hand.
Look, he's
Yes.
pointing the gun at him.
You bring
Look
it
at
down with
this.
your left hand.
Yes.
Wait a second. Where?
And-
Hold on. Oh my God. Can we, I don't care if this is evidence. I don't care if maybe you know it's not loaded, but we don't know that it's not loaded. And you're waving around a gun in a courtroom like no big whoop. Hold on a second. Is he pointing it at the judge? Like in the air by the judge's head? Come on, man. Really? And you're calling him an irresponsible gun owner? Okay.
Facing Mr. Letendre, you reach up,
Watch this.
you grab it.
If you're not looking at your screen, come and look at your screen. The gun is tagged. There's no armorer on set in the courtroom to check and show us that this gun is unloaded. And we have learned nothing from the Baldwin trial, apparently, Kate. So just come and look at your screen because every day is a new day here. And you're trying to make him look like an irresponsible gun owner. Okay, Mr. Prosecutor.
Off the top of the counter, the cabinet, with your left hand.
Yes.
You bring it down with your left hand.
Yes.
And how do you point it? How do you shoot?
I removed the holster with my right hand and pointed it at him and shot him.
It was in a holster.
So you had the time to take the firearm out of the holster, but you didn't then transfer it to your dominant hand?
I had the holster in my other hand.
And you shot him with your left hand?
Yes.
And where was he, how was he oriented to you?
He was facing me.
Facing you, okay. So he's facing you and you shoot him with your left hand.
Yes.
I remember we pointed that out.
You say he fell to the ground on his back, am I right?
Yes.
And he didn't bounce back up, am I right?
Yes.
I'm right, he did not bounce up.
Yes.
Okay. Was he moaning at that point?
Yes.
Was he moving in any way?
Yes.
How so?
He was moving his arms, his legs, his entire body. He was changing position from his back to one side to the other onto his stomach, all in a very short period of time.
Mm-hmm. But he never regained his
Did you hear
feet.
that? Mm-hmm.
At that moment.
Mm-hmm. Abracadabra has placed it. Jason Sudeikis, I think I'll allow it. I think you're right. I think that's who it reminds me of. Hold on. Let's go back because I don't think it's gonna play well in front of the jury. You let me know what you think. He did not bounce up. All right, I gotta hear this whole bouncing up. He fell to his ground. He fell to his back. All right, here, let's start here.
You say he fell to the ground on his back, am I right?
Yes.
And he didn't bounce back up, am I right?
Yes.
I'm right, he did not bounce up.
Yes.
Okay. Was he moaning at that point?
Yes.
Was he moving in any way?
Yes.
How so?
He was moving his arms, his legs, his entire body. He was changing position from his back to one side to the other onto his stomach, all in a very short period of time.
Mm-hmm. But
Writhing.
he never regained his feet.
At that moment.
Fair to say he was squirming on the ground?
Yes.
Squirming and moaning.
Yes.
And bleeding?
I don't know.
You didn't see any blood coming out of him at that point?
No.
And your testimony is that at that point he looked at you and said, did he say that he would need a lawyer or you would need a lawyer?
He said the words, "I need an attorney."
Okay. Meaning he needed an attorney.
Him.
But then he said, I'm going to kill you, meaning you.
Yes.
So at that point, with him squirming and moaning on the ground, you left the kitchen.
Yes.
And when you left the kitchen, you walked away from him, turning your back to him, am I right?
No.
No, well, you backed out of the kitchen?
I maintained looking at him as I got out of the kitchen.
And which way did you get out of the kitchen?
I stepped sideways along the counter.
Mm-hmm. This countertop here?
Yes.
So you're saying you basically backed away from him by walking in this photo toward the right,
Yes.
through the little alcove underneath the stairs?
Yes.
And at that point, you went outside to check on Brooke.
Yes.
So is it fair to say that when you left him in the kitchen, moaning and squirming on the ground with a gunshot wound, you felt as though you had neutralized the threat at that point?
Yes.
So much so that you left the house with the girls still upstairs.
Wow. Wow.
That is
So,
what you did, correct?
So,
Yes.
so now you're going to call him a bad father. So he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. He left the house to go check on Brooke to see when the cops were going to get there. If he ran up the stairs to get the girls, this guy would have chased after him. Like he's damned if he doesn't, he's damned if he doesn't, right? Okay. I mean, I can see that now. Now I can see he's like grasping at straws. Listen, this just infuriates me.
So that you left
Yes.
squirming on the ground with a gunshot wound, you felt as though you had neutralized the threat at that point.
Yes.
So much so that you left the house with the girls still upstairs. That is what you did, correct?
Yes.
And when you left Mr. Letendre, whose name you didn't know at the point, right? You didn't know who it was.
I did not.
When you left him in the kitchen, you left the shotgun barrel that he had been holding at some point right on the floor next to him. Am I right?
Yes.
Showing you here in exhibit number 23, you'd agree with me that it's lying in this photo to the right of his body, correct?
Yes.
And he had used that during your struggle with him sort of as a weapon or a club,
Yes.
struck you with it,
Yes.
and you left it right near his squirming, moaning body.
Yes.
You also left your loaded revolver on the countertop right next to Mr. Letendre,
Yes.
and you left him in the kitchen alone.
Yes.
That's right.
After you go outside to check on Brooke, you then go back into the house, am I right?
Yes.
Where's the 6 hour at this point?
I have the 6 hour.
Okay. You never put it down on the rail, did you?
I don't believe so.
So you lied to the police about that.
It was unclear at the time.
Well, did you say I'm unclear, or did you say, yeah, I put it on the rail and I believe it left it there the whole time?
That was my memory at the time.
You go upstairs, you poke your head into the room where the girls are, correct?
Yes.
You put some pants on at that point.
Yes.
You then bring some items outside to Brooke, am I right?
Yes.
What did you bring her?
Shoes.
And again, you're leaving the house. Girls are upstairs. Mr. Letender's still in the kitchen, correct?
Yes.
You hadn't gone back into the kitchen to check on him to make sure he hadn't gotten up, am I right?
Correct.
I'm going to just point out that I do not like the overuse of the am I right? Am I right? Am I right? AMIRITE, like it's all one word. Am I right? I don't know. Something just rubs me the wrong way. Doesn't mean he didn't get a second wind. Doesn't mean he didn't I had a thought. I lost it, but it'll come back to me.
How many times did you go in and out of the house before the police got there?
I don't know.
So you've gone into the house to get some pants on, correct?
Yes.
You left the house to bring Brooke some, was it boots you said?
Shoes.
Shoes.
She's outside. There's a blizzard.
You go
She has
back
no
into the
shoes.
house
She's out
now.
there
Now you're back-
barefoot. Does that make him a bad guy? I would say that makes him a very caring, loving husband. He checked on the children. He put some pants on because he's naked as a jaybird, and he's hoping law enforcement is going to show up any moment. He also left all the knives in the kitchen. The Brewer 3 says.
In the house. And you decided not to scoop up the girls and leave the house, am I right?
Yes.
Good. Tell him why.
And there were multiple vehicles in the driveway, am I right?
Yes.
And you had the keys or you had access to more than one vehicle in the driveway, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did not scoop up the girls,
Mhm.
leave the house.
Can I see council sidebar?
Please do. Good. The judge called this off. The judge was like, can I see counsel at sidebar right now? You want the jury to think he should have rushed. He should have, instead of just peeking on the girls, he should have grabbed them, scooped them up, ran them down the stairs. Well, he's got like a broken hand. He's been beaten to death practically. And then, kind of like scurry right by the murderer, the guy who tried to kill him. And just run right by that guy when, again, there's guns around, right? So who knows what he could have done? This is disgusting, Massachusetts. This is disgusting. And the judge put a stop to it. He's like, I need to see both of you now. How dare you? I hope that's what he's saying to him. How dare you insinuate that this young man should have scooped up his 2 and 5-year-old daughters, who luckily were sleeping through this and hopefully won't have the amount of PTSD would they have had they seen this. And he should have scooped them up with all of his injuries and his broken arms, his naked body, the blood all over him, scurried them outside the house, found the car keys, and just driven away when this guy broke into his house to kill him and his whole family. Okay, well done, sir. Well done, counselor. Yeah, then they would be saying, oh, you ran away from the scene because you knew what you did was wrong. You left. He had no duty to retreat. You're right. He was in his own home. But that's what they want us to believe. That's what they want the jury to believe, that the first shot was okay. Second shot, no, that was manslaughter.
What you did grab when you went back inside the house was your cell phone, am I right?
Yes.
But he put a stop to it.
And you picked up your phone thinking you should probably call somebody at this point, am I right?
Yes.
And did you sort of go through some options in your mind in terms of who might be a good person to call at this moment?
No.
You pretty much had made your mind up.
Yes.
You thought it would be good to call your boss.
Yes.
And his name is Brian Campidelli, somewhat coincidentally.
Yes.
Okay. And you
What
called Brian
what
Campidelli.
snarky ass thing is
spoke
that
with
to
him
say?
for about 2.5 minutes.
Your boss's name is Brian Campidelli. Somewhat coincidentally, because his name is Brian Camp. Is this like a time for jokes, counselor? Is that what was the purpose of that? That's somewhat coincidentally. Somebody point that out to me because I'm really at a loss for words.
And his name is Brian Campidelli, somewhat coincidentally.
Yes.
Okay. And you called Brian Campidelli, spoke with him for about 2.5 minutes.
Yes.
You told him what had happened.
Yes.
And did he give you some advice over the phone or not until after you'd hung up and he started texting you?
Through text message.
Okay. And one of the text messages he sent you in which you read was, make sure you take some pictures for evidence of your own, correct?
Yes.
And you read that advice, am I right?
Yes.
You thought about that advice?
Yes.
You decided that was good advice?
Yes.
Then you decided to follow the advice?
Yes.
So you were into evidence collection mode at this point, fair to say?
Objection.
Well,
I mean, you can have that.
you can have it.
Yes.
Well, we all know how the Massachusetts State Police handles investigations, so I would submit to you that he did the right thing. And Beautiful Loser points out a great point. They probably would have said, so you went and got your kids and you were naked, and you went naked into your kids' room and grabbed them and held them and Right, exactly. His boss is a very smart man.
The first photo you took with your cell phone was of Johnathan Letendre lying on the floor, am I right?
Yes.
Showing you exhibit number 68, you agree with me that this is the picture that you took with your cell phone?
Yes.
And in this photograph, you'd agree that Mr. Letendre is now lying face down on the ground, correct?
Yes.
He's holding his left hand to the back of his head, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever see the gashes or wounds on the back of his head?
I did.
You did. Showing
Oh, so
you
he already
a
had wounds on the back of
picture
his head before he shot him in the head. So there's
that
that.
was taken
Hang on.
during.
Poor Johnathan Letendre. If he was holding his hand to the back of his head, he was obviously still a potential threat. Yeah. Am I right? Am I right?
His autopsy.
Showing the
And-
autopsy photo.
Is that the location and the appearance, give or take, of the wounds you saw on Mr. Letendre's head that night?
Yeah.
Objection, may we
He's about to answer, Your Honor.
Well, so what? He objected.
It's the,
He objected before the answer, counselor. That's how it's supposed to work. He doesn't object after his client answers the question. He objects to your question before his client answers. That's the way it is. That's I don't know, trial law 101, sir. He's about to answer. Yes, I know. That's why I objected. What? Hold on.
The appearance, give or take, of the wounds you saw on Mr. Letendre's head that night?
Yeah.
Objection, may we
He's about to answer, Your Honor.
There's an objection, so it's the consent part.
I mean, yes, in every home invasion horror movie, the attacker gets back up, points out Amy. Agreed, though. So the investigation of this case, obviously, in December 2022, he gave his statements to the police before the Karen Reed trial ever started. John O'Keefe was murdered on January 29th of 2022. This was in December of 2022.
Sir, let me clarify a little bit. You testified that Brooke, your girlfriend, had struck Mr. Letendre over the head with a glass bong, correct?
Yes.
And that cut his head,
Yes.
and he started bleeding.
Yes.
Okay. And during your interactions with Mr. Letendre that evening, you saw him bleeding from his head?
Yes.
You saw the wounds on his head?
Yes.
And showing you this photograph, is this not only the location, but the appearance of the wounds that you saw on his head?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to admit this, please.
That will be our next exhibit.
Exhibit number 85.
You're right. Before or after he went to gouge your eyes out.
Thank you. Your Honor, may I publish it to the jury?
You may.
Explain.
Thanks, Goodmans, for the 20 and the hearts. Love you guys. Cheryl F. gifted 5 memberships. So those 5 of you who are randomly, luckily selected by YouTube. Thank you, Cheryl. And welcome to the 5, the new 5.
Now, when you took this picture of Mr. Letendre on your cell phone, exhibit 68, was he moving at this point?
No.
Was he speaking?
No.
Maybe he was playing dead. That happens too.
After taking this picture, you then left the kitchen again, am I right?
Yes.
All right.
You did not move that shotgun barrel.
No.
You did not move the loaded revolver.
No.
You once again left Mr. Letendre in the kitchen near those items.
Yes.
He did. Contested.
You
So
then went
invested.
upstairs to continue following Mr. Campodelli's advice, am I right?
Yes.
And that's when you took the 4 other photos that are shown in Exhibit 84, am I right?
Yes.
You took a picture of your bedroom floor, the linoleum tile in your bedroom, the entrance to the girls' room, and the hallway, the stairwell, correct?
Yes.
And do you remember the order in which you took those photos?
From the picture of Johnathan
Yes.
to up the stairs. And then the pictures of my bedroom, then the picture of the girl's door is my memory.
Okay. Would you mind, please, just putting numbers next to each photo in terms of your memory of the order in which you took them?
And then what, you're going to pull his Celebrite extraction
No,
and
you
tell
can
us
do
when
that.
they were really
Yeah,
taken
that-
to show that he's a liar? Like, this isn't working. This isn't working, counselor, in my opinion. This isn't working.
All set?
Oh, got the numbers wrong.
From the moment you snapped the photo of Johnathan Letendre on the floor, how long would you say it took you to go upstairs, take these 4 photos, and then come back
Oh,
down?
he's got the
minute.
metadata.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was his answer? I'm sorry, I was talking about metadata.
On the floor, how long would you say it took you to go upstairs, take these 4 photos, and then come back down?
A minute.
I'm prepped on the metadata.
So 1 minute for the taking of the 5 photos, fair to say?
Yes.
Am I right?
And I believe your testimony was that while you're upstairs taking photos in your bedroom and in the hallway and in the stairwell, Mr. Letendre is still downstairs. You don't have eyes on him at this point, correct?
No.
And Brooke is outside. You don't have eyes on her either.
Yes.
Your testimony this morning, correct me if I'm wrong, is that after you took the 5 photos in that minute or so, you then went outside where Brooke was.
Yes.
And she was still on the phone with 911.
Yes.
And it was at that time that 911 dispatcher was asking some questions through Brooke, and you were answering some questions. A
Mhm.
little bit of conversation there, correct?
Yes.
And that's when the dispatcher was asking some questions about where in the body was Johnathan shot. Do you remember that question?
Yes.
And you remember answering, I don't fucking care, dude, I don't know.
Yes.
I submit to you that's a perfectly reasonable answer when describing where the man was shot who just tried to kill you and your family. Anybody see anything wrong with that answer? I don't give a duck. I don't duck and care, was his answer.
Remember answering, I don't fucking care, dude, I don't know.
Yes.
I'm sorry,
And the
does that make him
dispatcher
seem
was asking some
unfeeling?
other questions about Jonathan's condition, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever hear the dispatcher say, I want Brian to go back inside the house and check on Johnathan?
No.
Did Brooke ever ask you to go back inside the house and check on Johnathan?
Yes.
Brooke asked you to do that,
Yes.
and you're saying that's on the 911 call?
I believe so.
And because she asked you to go check on the person who had tried to murder you, you decided to go inside and check on him?
At the request of the state police.
Good for
I
you,
thought you
dude.
said a moment ago the state police didn't ask you to do that.
She was communicating with the state police. She was in between me and the state police
Yeah.
on the phone.
And so she told you, Brian, the state police want you to go inside the house and check on this guy?
This
She
is
said they need to know,
They need to know what?
referring to the 911 operator's questions
Okay.
of his status, what he's doing, and where he may have been shot.
And at this point, you're outside the house
On the deck.
with your girlfriend,
Yes.
with your firearm,
Yes.
and you could have once again said, I don't fucking care, dude. You could have
Yeah.
said that.
Yes.
But
You know
felt
what?
that you were compelled to go inside and do a check on him?
Yes.
because he's a law-abiding citizen, and that's what he thinks the state police or the state police's representative is telling him to do. And now you're going to make it look like he's a fool for doing it? You can't use it as a shield and a sword. You can't try and make it look like he's a non-law abiding citizen because he didn't have his guns locked up and he didn't know how many guns were in the cabinet and he didn't know which ones were loaded and which ones weren't, when that's not even the law. And then make him look like, you shouldn't have gone in there when the state police told you to. Shield and sword. In my opinion, this is a terrible line of questioning, and I think it's going to backfire. I pray it's going to backfire.
Now, I'd like to ask you some questions about your decision to shoot Mr. Letendre in the head.
Your decision.
First off, you saw some photos and some testimony about a pair of handcuffs inside Mr. Letendre's pants, correct?
Yes.
You never saw those handcuffs that night, did you?
No.
He never used them or took them out during your struggle, am I right?
Yes.
So when you decided to shoot him in the head, the handcuffs didn't play a part in that decision-making process,
No.
correct?
It was not a decision-making process.
Well, that wasn't my question. When you shot,
It was your question because you asked him about his decision-making process, and he said there was no decision-making process. But hey, Mr. Prosecutor, why don't you point out the fact that the guy had handcuffs with him? Obviously, he brought them. He had a reason to use them. You remember that article that we read, where we read the article of Johnathan Letendre's mom, the interview of Johnathan Letendre's mom, who said that Johnathan went with me to Friendly's for dinner because he had to get up at 4 a.m. to work the early shift, and he wore his pajamas to dinner at Friendly's with me. Grown man of 27 wearing his pajamas out to dinner at Friendly's. But he had the forethought to bring with him a pair of handcuffs. What did you think he was going to do with those handcuffs? Kidnap her? I mean, this is just beyond. Hold on.
took them out during your struggle,
He
am I
never
right?
used
Yes.
the handcuffs,
So
right?
when you decided to shoot him in the head, the handcuffs didn't play a part in that decision-making process, correct?
It was not a decision-making process.
Well, that wasn't my question. When you shot Mr. Letendre in the head,
Objection, yes, it was the question.
Yes,
Hold on.
thank you.
at the moment you shot him in the head, you had no idea about any handcuffs, correct?
No.
So that didn't factor into your shooting of him in the head.
It did not.
Similarly, with the decorative, or call it what you will, knife that was found the next day inside his jacket,
Decorative knife.
you never saw that knife that night, correct?
Correct.
He never took it out, waved it at you, tried to stab you with it.
Correct.
So at the moment you shot him in the head, that knife really was not a factor in your mind.
Correct.
Now, it's your testimony today that Mr. Letendre sort of was pushing himself up off the floor with his hands.
Yes.
And would you say it was from roughly his waist up that he was able to lift his upper body off the floor?
His legs as well.
His legs as well? So
Yes.
was he doing, so was it like a push-up that he was doing?
Yes.
So he was able to maintain, like his legs were straight, his body was straight, and he was basically pushing himself up like a push-up.
Not a perfect push-up position. I believe from his knees down were still on the ground.
Okay. He never made it back up to his feet, did he?
No.
Did you consider running toward him and kicking him in the head?
No.
Did you consider reaching him down, picking up that shotgun barrel that he'd hit you with, and just smashing him across the back?
No.
Did you consider driving your knee into his back and holding him down?
No.
Did you consider stepping on his neck and applying pressure?
No.
No, because then if he killed him that way, then you still would have prosecuted him, dude. Look at Daniel Penny. Did you consider all of these other things? Is he supposed to make a list? pros, cons. What should I do? Here's a list of the things I could do. Here's a list of things I could. Like, this guy just tried to kill me and my family, sir. This kid is showing grace under pressure. Like witnesses way older than him would never be able to show in this position, being in this situation. This prosecutor is trying every angle to try and push Brian Camp's buttons, and it's not working. It is God save the Commonwealth. God save the Commonwealth. Free Brian Camp. Because this is an embarrassment to the state of Massachusetts, as if you didn't have enough embarrassing persecutions going on right now. You needed to add another one. That's why they're not showing this on the mainstream media. That is why. I just made my decision. That is why. I declare it. I decree it. God save the Commonwealth. This is why this trial is not getting any attention in Massachusetts, because of the duck show that was Karen Reed. Because this is an embarrassment. Brian, you should have made a list of pros and cons of other things you could have done before you shot him in the head.
Consider driving your knee into his back and holding him down?
No.
Did you consider stepping on his neck and applying pressure?
No.
Wow, just wow.
Instead, you decided to put him down, right?
No.
No.
Oh, put him down like a
when
dog.
you had your 6 hour
I see
out,
where you're going with this.
you had a number of places on his body where you could have shot him at that point, correct?
I did not have time to choose where I was going to shoot him. I just shot at him.
Yes.
And are you saying you just happened to hit him in the head?
Yes.
Yes. I did not have time to choose where I shot him.
Weren't you standing over him when you shot him?
No.
How close would you say you were?
10 to 15 feet.
So let's say this barrel here, Mr. Letendre, okay? Are you saying, actually just stop me when I get to the distance. First of all, was this your right hand now?
No.
Shot him the second time with your left hand,
Yes.
non-dominant hand.
Yes.
Stop me when I'm at the distance you were.
Objection. Objection. Is he pointing the gun at him? He's pointing the gun at him. Stop it.
About
Stop
there.
it. Stop it. Stop it. He's pointing the gun at the defendant, the prosecutor. Okay. Am I overreacting? Am I overreacting that he's pointing the gun at the defendant on the stand while he's backing up saying, tell me to stop when I'm the distance that you were? Like, this is like a my cousin Vinny moment for him. Everyone come to your screens. I know, not if you're driving. If you're driving, just keep driving. Come back later. We are at, you can time code in the court TV stamp. You can't even really see it at the bottom of your screen. It's 35 minutes and 14 seconds. He is pointing the gun at the defendant. Look, watch.
Shot him the second time with your left hand,
Yes.
non-dominant hand.
Yes.
Stop me when I'm at the distance you were.
This is witness intimidation.
About there.
So for the record, I'm just past the jury rail.
Wanna get a
Say
tape
that
measure?
From this distance with your non-dominant hand, you point. to the
Again, he's
6 hour
pointing it right at him.
Johnathan Letendre,
He's pointing it right at the
and
defendant.
you hit him
Why is there
in
no
the
objection?
upper top back part of his head,
Yes.
which would mean his head was facing away from you, wasn't it?
No.
Help me understand this. How was his head?
I'm not a physicist or a
His head was, once again, in a push-up position. Push up. Head looking down at the ground, roughly where your hands are.
Yeah, so if you fired from that distance and that angle, you would have shot him in the left temple, wouldn't you?
No.
You'd agree with me that in the picture that you took of Johnathan Letendre, let me pull it up again on the screen. Exhibit 68, I believe. You're saying that from this position, he started to do a push-up,
Yes,
and you were standing
He's unshakable. He's
pretty
unshakable.
much almost maybe where you took the photo from, correct?
incorrect.
Oh, where were you?
I was in the other side of the dining room.
Oh, so you shot him from the dining room. Is this the first time you've ever said that?
No.
When did you say it before?
Nobody ever asked me. Say that.
What, meeting with my lawyer.
Privileged. I don't think in the interrogation video they ever asked him.
So
Actually.
you're saying that when you were speaking with the police for an hour and 8 minutes that morning, this is when you say you were having a hard time defining the 2 times I shot him.
Yes,
And at the time you were speaking with them at the barracks, your mind was just so jumbled that you couldn't remember standing 15 feet away from him and shooting him in the top of his head
Never
with your
came up.
non-dominant hand. You had no memory of that?
They didn't ask.
yes,
Patriotic Act. Am I right?
So you're saying that his eyes were looking down at the ground when you shot him?
correct.
You told the police that you weren't sure if you'd shot Mr. Letendre once or twice, correct?
Correct.
And that wasn't true, was it?
No,
It is
sure.
what I believed at the time.
Right. He wasn't sure.
You told police that if you did shoot him twice, it was in rapid succession. You remember that?
Yes,
And that wasn't true either, was it?
that is what I believed at the time.
So at the time you were speaking with police, you could not remember there being over an 8-minute gap between the time you shot him in the torso to the time you shot him in the head.
That's correct.
But you remembered everything else in between, didn't you? You remember going upstairs to get clothes on, correct?
Correct.
You remember getting some shoes for Brooke and bringing them outside, correct?
Correct.
You told him that detail, am I right?
Yes.
You told the police that you called Brian Campanelli, correct?
Yes.
So all these other details in that 8-minute and 37-second span, you remembered.
Yes.
But when they asked you about the second shot, suddenly jumbly, blurry memory?
Trauma response,
Not
dude.
suddenly, but yes.
The police specifically asked you if, when you went back into the house, you shot the gun a second time, correct?
Yes.
And you said you hadn't done that,
Correct.
and that wasn't true.
That is what I believed at the time.
He's doing so great.
So you believe
Great.
that you hadn't shot twice?
I was unclear whether I had shot him once or twice, and I believed that if I did shoot him twice, that it was one event in rapid succession. That is what I believed at the time.
That's right.
All right,
So he wasn't lying.
when you told the police that after the first shot, you would put the gun on the railing outside on the deck, that never happened, did it?
Right.
If it did, it was brief when I went outside for a few seconds and saw Brooke, and then I grabbed it when I went back inside.
Right, but when
Great patriotic. Did he have a concussion? I bet he did. Yeah, he was slamming his head against the wall, remember? Johnathan Letendre was slamming Brian's head against the wall. We saw the hole in the bedroom wall. Anyone who's ever had a concussion goes into a fog. I know this, says Patriotic. Sure, we have some medical providers in the chat who can also attest to that. Great point.
you told the police you left it there, that wasn't true.
It is what I believed at the time.
So did you invent that memory?
No.
Did you invent that memory?
You told the police that you did not go back into the kitchen to check on Mr. Letendre, correct?
I did not go back into the kitchen.
My question is, you told the police, they asked you, did you go back inside the kitchen to check on Jonathan? Remember them asking you that?
Yes.
And you said you did.
Yes.
And you're saying technically you didn't because you stayed 15 feet away from him as you shot him?
In a separate room that was not the kitchen.
So you were parsing your answers, you had the mental clarity to parse your answers like that?
No.
You told the police that if you ever did something like he had done, you'd hope someone would put you down too, correct?
Yes.
So is that what you believe? You put him down?
No.
You asked that already 3
You
times.
didn't tell the police that after shooting Mr. Letendre one time, you took photos of him, correct?
Correct.
Were you hiding that detail from the police?
No.
You told them that you'd used your phone to call Mr. Campanelli, correct?
Yes.
You didn't think it was relevant that you had taken a picture of dying Johnathan Letendre with your phone?
No.
Why'd you hide that from them?
I did not hide that from them.
Sustained.
It was sustained. Good.
Did you think that you'd done something wrong by taking that picture and that's why you didn't want to tell the police?
No.
You never told the police that you shot Johnathan Letendre in the head, did you?
I did not.
You never told the police that the 2 shots were minutes and minutes and minutes apart, did you?
I did not.
Toward the end of the interview, the police asked you if there was anything else you wanted to tell them, correct?
Correct.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
anything else they hadn't asked you about, correct?
Hey,
Correct.
you know,
This was
prosecutor,
another-
you're lucky he didn't demand a lawyer. Guy's got a concussion. He's got his face bashed in. He's got a broken hand. He's been up all night. He's traumatized. You won't let him talk to his wife and his babies to hug them, make sure they're okay. And now you're gonna torture him for not volunteering any more information when they said, "Is there anything else you would like to add?" Oh wow. Okay. Well, I don't know how this is gonna play with the jury. We got about 1 minute left of this cross-examination.
Correct.
Or anything else they hadn't asked you about, correct?
Correct.
This was another opportunity, another chance for you to step up and admit the second shot,
Step
correct?
up.
Objection.
Sustained.
Step up and admit that second shot. You should step up and admit it in your own home when somebody tried to kill you and you didn't even know who this guy was.
Did you take that opportunity to tell them about the second shot?
No.
Sitting here today, do you agree that instead of shooting him in the head, you could have run over and kicked him in the head?
Objection.
Sustained.
Good.
No.
You don't have to answer that
Oh, it was
question.
sustained.
It was sustained. It's a strike that.
He's like, I
Sorry.
don't know what that means.
Sitting here today, do you regret putting him down?
Objection.
Sustained.
Nothing further.
Any
Sitting-
redirect?
No.
All right, sir, thank you. You may step down.
Thank you.
Sitting here today, do you regret putting him down? Do you regret putting him down? How do you think the jury is going to respond to that cross-examination? What say you? Thank you so very much to Lynn. Says thank you for all of your work. Thank you, Lynn, so very much. You're so very kind and generous. I appreciate you. Thank you also to KPT for buying me 3 matcha lattes. I need every single one of them because I am tired. This is the ducking perversion of justice, says KPT. I think we're with you on that one, guys, right? Going to the chat. Tomorrow is closing arguments. I'm going to try and find out to see if they're going to be streaming them live because we need to be here for it. Thank you, Cat Artist. Self-defense. Cat Artist says self-defense. That's it. Joseph Kane, thank you for your super sticker. Christine Hawkins, thank you for the 10. Police Facebook shows victim used to bring coffee and donuts to the cops during Christmas. There are people with the victim's last name on the state payroll. That's interesting. Shouldn't the case have been moved? That's very interesting, Christine Hawkins. I cannot speak to the accuracy or truth or veracity of that. So, I mean, the defense can always move for a change of venue. They may have thought that they have a good venue for this case. I'm going to defer to defense counsel on that one, but that is a really good question. Marcy for federal prison. guys are killing me with your names. Thanks for your coverage on the Karen Reed case. You're a rock star. I love your channel. I love you right back. Thank you so very much. Scott McGinnis, so great to see you again last night. Massachusetts hates gun rights, a very anti-2A right state. So even law-abiding gun owners in Massachusetts will be prosecuted until they turn all their guns into the state. It's a good time to point out that my viewers' opinions are not necessarily my opinions, but I do appreciate you, Scott. Thank you for sharing. Spinky says, I want to hear what the medical examiner says regarding his initial wound. I don't see how that would totally incapacitate him. It did not. Here's the thing. Hardly any of this trial is being broadcast. Only what we have been told through various news sources. The only thing that I can find, well, at least on the Court TV website, the forensic pathologist who did the autopsy, Dr. Andrew Elin, testified on day 2 of this trial on November 20th. He said he had a gunshot wound to the head and torso and numerous lacerations. Letendre's toxicology test was negative for drugs or alcohol. Dr. Elin said the cause of death was gunshot wounds to the head and torso and multiple blunt force injuries. So I don't see how that helps the prosecution. Because the prosecution is saying, okay, the first shot was fine, because you didn't mean to, you were protecting your family, but it was the second shot that did him in. How are they going to, if the cause of death, according to their own medical examiner, autopsy conductor, was gunshot wounds to the head and torso and multiple blunt force injuries, what the duck are we doing here? Brian Camp testified that was only day 4 of the trial. Closing arguments are expected tomorrow. The defense only called 2 witnesses. The first witness was the friend of Brooks who found the jacket of the perp or the victim. And it had a knife in it. And then Brian Camp, that's it. Defense rested. They're done. Case may go to a jury tomorrow. This is a great question. Joelle asks, what if we're staying in an Airbnb in a state that we don't know the laws to? This really has me thinking. I feel like I'm just supposed to defend myself if I'm attacked in a space that is mine. Maybe that's a lesson to everyone. If you're going to go rent an Airbnb in a different state, maybe you should look up the law. I mean, that's really a great point, especially in an Airbnb, because a lot of these Airbnbs have combination locks where you punch in a combination. A lot of them have cleaning people who have a key that could come in at any time. I mean, just because you're in an Airbnb, don't think that you're totally secure, that nobody could get in. If somebody else has that combination or another key, they could get in, right? That's a great point, Joelle. Did social services bother the mom? Hey, Corrupt wants to know. I have no idea. Usually when an unalive happens with the children in the children's home, DCF usually steps in. Hopefully not. I don't know. If anybody who lives in town has any personal knowledge with regard to same, please let us know. D, earlier testimony said the first shot was enough to finish the job, but he obviously still thought he was a threat, so he fired the second. What would the second shot matter to the state at that point? Well, you lied, you shot him from behind, you were just trying to put him down like a dog, right? Put him down. That's what they want the jury to believe. Patriotic access, thanks, Miss Scarlett. I would never stay in an Airbnb for that reason. Look, hotel rooms aren't that safe either. I was in a hotel room recently in Las Vegas when I went to visit Bob Weir and John Mayer at the Sphere. And I was walked in on by the same exact housekeeping person 3 days in a row. And I had the do not disturb light on outside my door. And she just swiped the key and just came on in 3 times. So hotels aren't that safe either. I don't know, guys. I don't know. That's where we're going to end for today, unless we have any further questions, comments, thoughts, concerns. We've been here for 3 hours and 15 minutes. I am exhausted. It was quite a night last night supporting Karen Reed, and what an amazing, amazing, amazing night. I'll break it down for you a little bit more after I've slept and I can get all of my pictures together. I did report it, Sarah. I did. I had her name and everything because it was the same woman 3 days in a row. I'm like, I didn't want to get her in trouble the first time. The second time, it's not a coincidence. The third time, definitely not a coincidence. I did. The door was latched. She was able to get in. I don't know. I guess I was in the room. So, and it was during the day. You know, it was during the day. I was taking a shower or something. Like I don't know. I had the do not disturb light on. Like there's a light that you press. Like it clearly says do not disturb. So who knows what's going on when you're not in the room, but yeah. Crazy. All right. Make sure you have a subscription. You subscribe. It's free. You have your notifications set so that if this is live tomorrow, we can cover it live. And remember, we have the Karen Reed hearing on Tuesday. That motions hearing is going to be happening in the morning. We're going to be covering that. I think that is at 10 a.m. The Rule 17 motions. And it's Thanksgiving this week in the US. So there's that. We got that coming up. I'll see you tomorrow, my friends. Thank you, all of you moderators. You're amazing as always. Stay cool, stay kind, stay classy. Where would you like me to redirect you? I want to send a cupcake invasion to someone. Where would you like to go? Oh, thank you, Toy. Thank you, Toy, who loves my coverage and ethics and for saying that I'm appreciated. I appreciate you. Julie Schwartz, thanks for showing this. Thanks, Mon Night Chat. You guys share this stream out because nobody knows this is happening. And people, especially my Massachusetts friends, need to know what is going on in your ducking state right now. So that is my opinion. Would you guys like to go? Where would you like to go? Free Brian Camp. Would you like to go to Turtle Boy and listen to Turtle Boy talk about what last night? He's been there for a while. So there's both the red eye and Rule 17. All right, I'm going to send you over to Turtle Boy for a cupcake invasion. And also Andrea Burkhardt is streaming. If you prefer to go there, you know, you choose your adventure, but I'm going to redirect you to Turtle Boy because I met him last night and we had a really nice night. And he was very kind and very nice to me. So that's where we're going. Everybody buckle your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Buckle up, buttercups, cups. Peace out. I love you with all of my heart, every single one. Even if you hate me, I still love you. Good night. Cupcake invasion in 3, 2, 1, go.